Relax and enjoy the moment.
Mic check, mic check. Mic check. How y'all doing? Sorry for the wait. It's like 3 minutes. Mic check, check, check. How y'all doing? Thumbs up if you're watching. Good morning. This mic'd up. I'm Mika. I think I'm gonna have to, I'm glad I got some good rest. Cause I think, hey, what's up? This just in, I missed you. I'm sure you busy out there being an adult, earning a livable wage. Hey, what's up, Debbie? Good morning. Yeah, I don't know. Okay, let me just say this. I got lots of rest last night. Really good rest too. Really good rest. But I still woke up hella early to get organized because it's a lot. Good morning, little mama. Thank you, little mama. Let me tell you something, little mama. Shout out to Nicole, who sent me this. We were chasing this book down. For some reason, Amazon lost it, but we got it. And not only did I get it, Nicole, I can't put it down. Shout out to Joy. Shout out to Honor. Shout out to all my education enthusiasts. I can't put it down. Like, I'm talking, look, you got tabs. I got dog-eared. Can y'all see this? Dog-eared pages. Let me tell you something. And like this morning, I couldn't read and get ready, right? Because I went through with this like colored pencil. And I'm just like my mom. My mom does this with the Bible. She does it with crayons. And I'm just, can y'all see this? I'm just like underlining. And, you know, the dog ears and the tabs are not enough. I can't put it down. And like a good drink, you got to drink it to the middle, right, to get into the good part. So I'm at, I think, chapter 6. And so, okay, like I was saying, I couldn't get ready and keep, highlighting. So I'm like, oh, let me use my Richland County library card. Let me go ahead and open up my Hoopla app, right? Hoopla, shout out, alternative to Audible or any Amazon properties, right? So I use the Hoopla app to download the audio version of this so I can like bathe, lotion, and continue to read, the book. But I can't put it down. I'll be done. If not by tomorrow, the day after tomorrow, I'll be done. This is, and why I'm bringing this up is because, dun, 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 I'm not just praising Nicole, even though Nicole deserves all the praise. Because we're going to talk about the Wolf of Meeting Street. Let me pat myself on the back. Some people might not like my content. Sometimes I don't conjugate verbs. Sometimes I mispronounce things. Sometimes I refuse the code switch. But one thing I know, I'm good at least giving a title and putting some branding on some stuff. I'm really good, and I'm really proud of this. The Wolf of Meeting Street. No alliteration like the Wolf of Wall Street. But because Ben Navarro, Meeting Street Academies, you get it, right? You get it. We really need to lean in. And okay, so I'll admit, last week, Friday, we talked about Nita Zucker crickets. It was like, I'm not saying I was trying to poke the bear. Right? I wasn't trying to poke the bear, but I did expect some kind of conversation. And like I said on Instagram, that I don't know, because I'm kind of shadow banned when it comes to videos and posts. But what I said on Instagram was, when we start talking about class, this is when things get tricky. When we start talking about philanthropy and billionaire philanthropists, this is where things get tricky. There are a number of people who come to the Black girls page, come to the Black man's page, come to the Black groups page, looking for that really easy to digest analysis on race. And we can't talk about race and racism and white supremacy without talking about all forms, all kinds of oppression. And we need to start having an honest conversation about philanthropy in Charleston, but about billionaire philanthropy, and also what's near and dear to my heart, their effort to privatize public schools, to dismantle public education. yeah, I said this before, I'll say it again here. This probably the singular most politicizing event in my life was leaving Monmouth County Public Schools in New Jersey and having to transfer in the 10th grade, finish 10th through 12th grade in Charleston County Public Schools. And this is, it was one of the most traumatic experiences of my life. Teachers did not commit my name to memory. I saw what social promotion looked like in the form of having 10th grade classmates who were 19 years old. I was told to not try to attend a 4-year school because I wasn't smart enough to go to a 4-year school. Never was given any options. Never was given any options like, hey, do 2 years at Trident Tech and then try. None of that. I had to fill out my own. I had to do all that by myself. Right. I had to go into the library in the public school, St. Andrews High School, go into the library and find schools, understand relaxed entrance standards, understand what that is, because I didn't have the best grades, but it was largely a reflection of what I was going through and the lack of investment the schools put into students like me. My brother was told that he was learning disabled and that he was put in these classes that were often mocked by other classmates. He was called dumb. Oh, you in the LD class. If y'all know what I'm talking about, LD, learning disabled. Oh, he LD. My brother is trying to finish up his dissertation right now, pursuing his PhD, right? Got more degrees and credentials than me. And I did his FAFSA. and I did his FAFSA. So why am I bringing it up when we're talking about Ben Navarro, Billionaire, Philanthropy, school privatization? I'm bringing that up because it politicized me. It made me look more closely at Southern education, look closer at South Carolina's history with public education. And I've never not had that connect. I've never lost interest in understanding why the school system was the way it was. Why did it function the way it did, especially here in the South? Why wasn't that my reality in New Jersey, right? Good morning. What's up, Rugby? Rugby, yo, that was you on the gram? His birthday? Did I get that right? Or was I scrolling and sleeping? Was that you looking so beautiful with the window over your head? Anyway, so let's get into it. You look marvelous, darling. Marvelous. All right, let's get into it. So I expected more, just something. Oh, you talking about Anita Zucker? Just nothing. But that could be a combination of things. I'm still building out this platform. People still don't quite get all of what it is. People still trying to figure out if they can trust my voice. All of that. I'm trying to send something to myself real quick so I can pull it up on the computer. But let's get into this. A lot here, so I know I talked a lot. What up, April? Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. You welcome, Rugby. You welcome. All right, I'm just uploading. I also want to. Real quick, I had to make this slide presentation. That's how much I had to get organized. I'm like, yo, you just put them in slides. So I'm gonna exit out of here. We're gonna get to that. We're gonna get to that. Okay. Wanted to just do a news roundup, a proper news roundup though, for real. We're gonna go to Live 5 News real quick, and we're gonna go to Live 5 News. I don't even think going to WCBD on YouTube is even worth it. Sometimes I just feel like they don't. I don't know. It's not nothing. No knock. It's just I wish the stuff was available to share a little bit easier. But this is the front page of today's paper, the Post and Courier. I thought this was interesting. Of course, they put the amazing black writer, psych. They put Adam Parker on this story. So here's the headline. All right. After dig uncovers lost artifacts, College of Charleston opens new solar-powered pavilion where enslaved people once labored. Here, I'm glad they captured 2 white students here enjoying the pavilion. Sophomores. Let me make sure my phone was not ringing. Sophomores. Claire Oliver and Catherine Dankers eat outside. No shade to the two students. I just would love to see some melanated students kind of there, even if it's just for the photo, which that's what that is. Sophomores Claire Oliver, Catherine Dankins eat outside under the new solar shade pavilion. behind Addlestone Library. For those who don't know, behind the library years ago, they found remains, and there is a monument dedicated to indigenous and black people because there was the cemetery back there. So there was like a marker, but it was all buried back there. You couldn't even. It was up against a parking lot. It was illuminated by light, I think, but it was really obscure. So it looks like I guess they found even more things, because I know that was years ago they had that monument. And some of y'all have been like Rugby. You might. Good morning, B-Man. Rugby. You might be way more adept in terms of describing where this the other monument was. But the archaeological dig and discovery that ensued is not half the story. Now the College of Charleston is unveiling the other half, a new solar shade pavilion behind Addlestone Library, built on the site. So maybe I think this is connected, right? Rugby, you just dropped in the chat. It's tucked away. Yeah, it's tucked way the hell back there. Way back there. Yeah. You really got to be hunting for that pavilion. All right, cool. All right, next story on the front page worth mentioning. Jill Biden surprises South Carolina prayer partner with visit, returns to Brooklyn Baptist in West Columbia, where she found faith again after son's Bo's death. That's a hell of a story. So she found her faith again. Yeah, Rugby, you just dropped in the chat that the pavilion is behind the philosophy department. Thank you. I appreciate that. So yeah, this is crazy. All right. So not crazy that she came in her faith thing, but that's a lot. So West Columbia, Jill Biden on Sunday returned to the South Carolina Baptist Church, where she says she began to repair her relationship with God following her son's death from brain cancer 6 years ago. The First Lady quietly flew to West Columbia for a surprise appearance at the 50th anniversary celebration of Charles B. Jackson Sr. of Brooklyn Baptist Church, but she ended up giving one of the most extensive explanations of how. Let's go to A5 real quick and bring it back. And we're going to hop over to Live 5 News and do a news roundup, right? Okay. So yeah, back to God. Okay. Back to God with help from her prayer partner, Robin Jackson, the pastor's wife. I'm going to stop there because we know what this is. I mean, it's the trip. The trip is designed. This is not just, I want to go to church and let's go back to. Trip is designed to do some things. I'm not really, I didn't look into the visit and some of the key players of who hosted her, but understand that, where Biden and the Biden administration is right now. Understand also Clyburn's in the mix there too. But yeah, there's some things I haven't even evaluated it. But I'm sure that visit wasn't just for Sunday's sake. Next in residence still pushing for change 1 year after fatal accident. Don't know much about that, but I will read it. Coast Guard JRTC. All right. So that's the front page of the news. Let me see the state newspaper. I think I got the state newspaper today. Yep. Here we go. Real quick, just reading the headlines. All right. Some fire trucks sidelined as city grapples with staffing. All right. That's top of the, Lexington County frontline workers over here to the right. Lexington County frontline workers to get COVID hazard pay. Okay. Down here, officials warn of system failures, delays at aging South Carolina Public Health Lab. This looks archaic. Put Paul Bowers on this. I don't know if this is brutalist architecture, but this, horrible. Good morning, Michelle. Good to see you. Good morning. All right. South Carolina's Public Health Laboratory, epicenter for the state's scientific, medical, and environmental testing operations, is one of the oldest in the nation. Ugh. And it shows, right? Yeah. So those are the headlines real quick. Let's go ahead and bounce over to Live 5 News. I'm going to use this tab right here so we can get a lot of understanding. God damn it. It's scary as fuck. Okay. Let me go to more pertinent things first. Oh, there's Jill Biden. Okay, let's go. It's a video. Let's get it.
Small business insurance is usually
so yeah, last night I had a good night's sleep. Just want to update you as this ad finishes. Good night's sleep. Watch Versus. Old school hip hop fan here. Really miss my late brother and late sister who introduced me to hip hop at a young age.
The First Lady is back in D.C. this morning after.
But I'm happy to be here. Let's transition to the news. I was just trying to eat up some of that time.
After making a surprise visit to the Midlands, Dr. Jill Biden attended a special event at Brooklyn Baptist Church in West Columbia yesterday. The congregation was celebrating Dr. Charles B. Jackson's 50th.
Look at this. You better come through with the perform. What do you call that? Performative cleanliness? I love it, though.
Brooklyn Baptist Church in West Columbia yesterday. The congregation was celebrating Dr. Charles B. Jackson's 50th anniversary as pastor. Jackson's wife formed a special bond with Dr. Biden while she was on the campaign trail in 2019. The two then became prayer partners. At the time, Dr. Biden says she was struggling with her relationship with God as she was still processing the loss of her son, Bo, who died of brain cancer in 2015.
Come on, cameraman.
When she spoke, it was as if God was saying to me,
oh, audio.
Okay, Jill, you've had enough time. It's time to come home.
I love black people. Yes. Come home to this black church. Hallelujah.
In that moment, I felt for the first.
Look at the church gave her corsage. Oh, this is giving me young childhood church vibes. Oh my God, like first, what was it, like Women's Day or something like that, or Missionary Day?
Time that there was a path for my recovering my faith.
Members of the congregation say they're proud of Pastor Jackson for the impact he's made on the community and around the world.
Yeah, so that's political. That's a little political. Go ahead, Jill. I'm just from a basic, not because I'm like, yay, Biden administration, but all right, come show these black churches some love. I don't mind that. Let's continue with some local headlines. So this is big news for y'all voting. Okay. So in-person absentee voting begins in Charleston, so you can vote in person in some areas. They have like the in-person absentee locations on James Island and a couple places. They should say it here though.
In-person absentee voting is getting underway in parts of the Low Country. The voting is for the upcoming municipal elections. In Charleston County, eligible voters can cast their ballot from 8:30 in the morning until 5 at night at the Board of Elections office on Headquarters Road in North Charleston. Now, Charleston County will also have satellite voting events throughout October. Today, you can vote at the James Island Rec Center from 9 a.m. until 3 p.m. In Dorchester County, voters can cast their ballots at the Rawlings Edwards Community Center in Somerville from now until October 29th. It will be open Monday through Friday from 8:30 in the morning until 5 p.m. Election Day is November 2nd.
Thank you so much for gifting that sub to Peppy. Thank you, Nicole. Appreciate you, little mama. Always. I love it. Thank you. All right, so that's absentee voting. That is important. Let's go ahead and get it out the way. Wait. Let's do this and then Murdaugh, then we're gonna get to Ben Navarro immediately. Your ballot is coming, Kia. Good job. My district ain't voting. Ain't on the ballot.
Save lives right here in your community. Donate blood.
So this says food, entertainment, and public gathering place proposed for Mount Pleasant.
Well, the town of Mount Pleasant's Economic Development Committee is considering.
Look at Michael. Michael, you getting ready for the season, huh? It's giving me spooky Halloween chic, and I'm not coming at her. It just looks very festive.
Plans for a new public gathering space that would feature small businesses in different places.
I think it's a little too voluminous for her slight frame, though. It's a little too voluminous. Oh, I've got Joey Sovine, or Sovine, whatever his name is. I got some critiques on his attire, too. So this is not me coming at women. Just a little voluminous on the arms, kind of swallows up a little bit. She's still very beautiful and great at what she does. I'm not coming at her.
To eat. Summer Extra is live now in Mount Pleasant with more on the plans that were discussed at the latest economic development meeting.
It is crisp, though.
Michael, Aisha, good morning. The town of Mount Pleasant's Economic Development Chair, Kathy Landing, says this project is still in the early phases, but it would be modeled after a concept that already exists in Greenville, which is called Gather Greenville. And the one here, it would be called Gather
This just in, if you're still watching, if you're able to contribute to the conversation, what's this Greenville place?
Pleasant, and it would be located on Midtown Avenue, right across from MUSC Midtown in Mount Pleasant, off of Hungry Neck Boulevard. Now, Four Oak Property Group, they presented plans to the Economic Development Committee earlier this month, showing ideas for the area. It includes an indoor-outdoor area with different food options. Landing says that's kind of like a more casual setting and like a larger food court. Plans also suggest it would be family.
Why are we talking about food courts in 2021? Ain't they a relic of my childhood? Like the Orange Julius, the Sbarro, plenty of malls in Monmouth County. Monmouth County, what is it? Monmouth Mall and Seaview Square Mall. Too many malls in Jersey growing up. Too many food courts. And then when I moved to PA, King of Prussia, Franklin Mills, the big malls, huge malls.
And dog friendly,
with huge food courts.
Feature local small businesses, local crafts, and host outdoor live music. The conceptual plan shows 117 new parking spaces planned for the site. Now, the property group estimates the potential economic impact would be more than $30 million, and it would bring hundreds of temporary construction jobs. It also projects up to 50 resident small.
Greenville Peeps. I don't know, Courtney, if you locked in, but what is this Greenville Gather Space? Is it successful? Is it bringing people together? Does it create community? All right, let's do this last Alex Murdaugh story, and then we'll get to Ben Navarro.
Those emotions,
oh gosh,
they were put on hold by time, but at Claire's bridal week.
Oh my God.
A well-known South Carolina lawyer is set to appear before a judge tomorrow in Richland County.
And according to jail records, Alex Murdaugh was transferred from Orange County, Florida to a Richland County
Jersey
jail
freeze.
over the weekend. Now, Murdaugh was arrested in Florida Thursday for 2 felony counts of obtaining property by false pretenses. Those charges stem from a South Carolina law enforcement division investigation into the settlement funds in the death of Murdaugh's former housekeeper, Gloria Satterfield.
In a lawsuit, her son sued for the money, saying Murdaugh.
So this bond hearings for tomorrow, if this dude gets out again, I don't get it. I know he didn't flee or whatever, but like, can we just keep him in custody? How much is this costing us to get him back and forth from Florida and all that other bullshit? Can he just stay in there? Can he? Like, I don't understand. They ain't even give him like house arrest, like with an ankle monitor at one of his, I'm sure, sprawling estates. Can he just stay in custody? He looks mad scary here, y'all.
Murdaugh arranged the payout but never actually sent the funds. Murdaugh will appear at the Richland County Courthouse for a bond hearing tomorrow at 10 a.m.
Now, to follow the latest developments involving this high-profile local.
No. I want to make sure y'all not addicted to Murdaugh madness, okay? So that's a quick news roundup real quick. The most important things, absentee voting begins today. In-person absentee locations, are going to be up and running. Y'all know how to know the spiel. Vote 411 is a great option for sure. Vote411.org, I believe. But also, County Board of Elections on the county website. Make sure you just stay current and figure out, you already saw the news on it. Make sure you figure out how to get to where you need to get to or how to get your ballot, like Kia, right? And then the other date we're going to watch too is at the end of the month. We know that since Del Chapo resigned after the whole filing deadline and all the other stuff, we know that there's going to be a special filing deadline for her district, District 1 City Council. So that's what, the end of the month? At the end of the month and through November 8th, right? Yeah, good morning, Brianne. Good to see you. All right, so let's get out of that news right there. We're going to also close the front pages of the state newspaper. And, we might keep this up because there's some Ben Navarro stuff here. So let's get into it. Let's get back to my presentation. Okay. So today what I want to do is attempt to continue this conversation, which is largely a class conversation. Again, I think, can I just give y'all a little quick take? I hope this doesn't take us off of this whole situation. I hope this doesn't distract me because I'm really good at distracting myself with my own little tangents. But so I was reflecting, right? Like one of my biggest one of the biggest struggles I have with living in Charleston is how hard it is to organize here. It's harder than any other place I've lived in. And I've evaluated and thought through all the reasons why it's so hard. A lot of it is steeped in historic practices. It's a lot of it is rooted in, how rebellion is so effectively put down here in Charleston, how dissenting opinions are muted, are muffled and obscured. A lot of that is rooted in the practice of putting down rebellion. I would argue that Charleston and South Carolina was so effective at putting down rebellion, not just in the violent, visceral ways, right? Not just the beheading of those who rebelled against the establishment of human enslavement. Not just those who are architects of slave revolts, but legislatively. This state has really led the way in how to suppress movement, how to suppress dissenting opinion, and really how to neutralize movement work. So there's a lot of things, but I think here in Charleston, and this is just a hot take, I think here in Charleston, what also muddies that, what also makes it difficult for someone like myself to organize and to keep people interested beyond a Women's March rally, keep you interested beyond the 2020 BLM rally. I think what also makes it difficult is that this is a tourism city. I was telling my mom and my dad yesterday, left and right Twix, I was telling them this city is so peculiar. And I said, I realized that I've lived in Philadelphia, which has, tourism sites being one of the, having such a rich history, with our nation's government and founding fathers and Ben Franklin and all that shit, right? I lived in Philly, but Philly's not a tourism destination, right? Not like that. I mean, of course, tourists come to Philly, but you know what I'm saying. It's not Charleston level, right? And I lived in Tenton Falls. So I lived in Tenton Falls, went to school in Jersey City, close to New York City, which is a tourism spot. But even that's different because there's so many working class people in working class neighborhoods. I think with Charleston has really, and a shout out to Mayor, to Developer Riley, Charleston has really owned this persona of being a tourism destination. So basically, I think people engage issues almost like they would entertainment. I think people engage it with a laissez-faire attitude. I don't know if that makes any sense to y'all, but I just really think it's difficult to get people to acknowledge and understand that you have to remain engaged, that you have to be nuanced in your approach, that you have to be multifaceted in the way you approach changing these systems. It can't be seasonal. It can't be situational. And I'm not saying that you should be engaged in a fight every, 365, 24/7. That's not sustainable, nor would I ever tell you to do that when I quite literally will tell y'all, don't call me after 9 because I'm in this bed watching, season 3 of Succession or something like that, right? I believe in boundaries and sleep and rest, right? But what I am saying is that you really can't afford. We can't afford, if you live here, if you pay taxes here, if you're here full time, if you're if you're here and you're creating a life here and you're invested in your community, we can't afford to treat certain things with a seasonal approach. But I think that tourism culture and tourism features, I don't know, for lack of a better word, really seeps into the way we respond to things, respond to crises, respond to inequity. And I say all that to say that as we talk about billionaires and we talk about class, we talk about wealth hoarding, we talk about how billionaires use philanthropy in schools and all this, all this really lovey-dovey, seemingly unoffensive language. When we talk about those things, we have to be willing to kind of dig a little bit deeper and figure out how these people rose to prominence. And we just can't afford to not dig deeper, and we can't just treat this like some sort of somebody else will figure it out. Not at all. So what I wanted to do is I wanted to introduce you to Ben Navarro. Of course, I've got information. Hold on, somebody just sent me a text message. Oh wow. Let me see how many men are involved in this. Oh, wow. Attorney. Oh, wow. That's interesting. Sorry, I got distracted. It was a really important text message. Sorry about that. But what I want to do is introduce you to Ben Navarro, and then I wanted to introduce you to who he really is. And I deliberated long and hard about where to start, because it's a lot. So I'm actually going to do this. I'm going to start at Wall Street Journal, right? I'm going to start at this because this article, I read this, did not stop until I hit the end. I read this last night and I was blown away. Oh, stop. Oh, it's behind the paywall now. I read it last night. Shit. All right. Oh, I know where it's at. I know how to get it. This article, something told me to find it and download it. Hold up. Let's see if we can get it. This Wall Street Journal article. No, they don't have Wall Street Journal. Hold on. I think there was another version of it. Shit. Well, let's start here. Let's start here. We can at least reference it. It's that behind the paywall. Let me see. Shit. Do I want to subscribe real quick just to read this to you? How much? $8 per month. All access Monday to no. Set no. All access act now. Let me see something. Oh God, I don't want to do this online. Okay. But I read the article last night. I'm going to find it. I actually have another copy of it. But basically this is about the most debt collection. Does it play?
Electric car travels from.
Oh God. Let's see if it plays. Let's see if they let you play it, because I think it's really interesting. Let's see if they cut it off. I don't know.
America.com.
Most big debt collectors backed off during the pandemic. One pressed ahead.
Bear with me.
Little known Sherman Financial, which buys defaulted credit card debt, filed more collection lawsuits after lockdowns began. By Shane Shiflett and Justin Scheck. April 7, 2021, 10:03 a.m. Eastern Time. When COVID-19 hit the economy, most debt collectors gave borrowers a break, cutting back on lawsuits amid lockdowns, closed courts, and loan forbearance initiatives. One of the biggest and least known companies in the industry did the opposite. Sherman Financial Group filed more lawsuits to squeeze cash from people behind on their credit card bills.
So Sherman Financial, right here. Sherman Financial, right? This is Ben Navarro's company. All right, I know it's a lot. The AI, it sounds like a robot, but just bear with me because I want you to hear this. So basically, during the pandemic, most big debt collectors backed off during the pandemic. One pressed ahead. This is in the Wall Street Journal. This was posted April 7th, 2021. So fairly recently, relatively recently. But when you hear about the practices of this debt collector, and we need to talk about Ben Navarro as more of a debt collector than we do as a philanthropist, because the philanthropy is bullshit, right? That's the ruse, is to get you to feel all warm and fuzzy. He brings his dogs to certain events. He names certain initiatives after dogs, dead dogs, old dogs, all that. We need to make sure we see him for who he really is. So we're going to start here at debt collection, because this is what this man is. This man is a ruthless debt collector. I got you. Thank you, little mama. Thank you. Hey, El Cool J. All right, let the AI read. I know it sounds robotic, but let's go. This has been Navarro right here. And y'all know what the Wall Street Journal is. Okay, it's not necessarily a liberal rag. Okay. All right, let's go.
Wall Street Journal analysis, based on the 5 state court districts with searchable online records, showed Sherman had the largest year-over-year increase of any firm identified between last March 15th and December 31st, up 52% from the year-earlier period, compared with a 24% decline in those districts for the industry as a whole. Sherman, a privately held enterprise, through its subsidiaries filed 15,420 more debt collection lawsuits in those districts than during the year-earlier period. Those courts serve 13% of the U.S. population. In doing so, Sherman has cemented its reputation as a maverick in the industry. Since founding the company 2 decades ago, Sherman Chief Executive Ben Navarro has helped transform the once small and fragmented business of collecting old credit card debt into a multi-billion-dollar industry dominated by huge firms.
Okay, we'll stop it there because Little Mama came through clutch. I don't mind going to Fox Business for this. Thank you so much. The same story. Thank you so much. So we were reading here, and B-Man, you dropped in the chat about Ben Navarro. Again, I'm just saying this for point of emphasis because if you don't, y'all know streaming, people come in and out. Like I don't always have, if you tune in, you'll see how many concurrent video viewers I have. So sometimes it's 31, sometimes it's 24, sometimes it's 12, right? So people come in and out. We're talking about local debt collector, billionaire debt collector, Ben Navarro. We're reading about his activity during the pandemic. We're going to talk about his failed attempts to try to buy the Panthers, the Carolina Panthers a few years ago. We're going to talk about why billionaires always want to buy a sports team. What's that about? I think Jeff Bezos is trying to buy the Washington football team. All right. So we're talking about the Wolf of Median Street right now. So for those who just joined. So as the pandemic was ramping up, there was one collection firm that was doing a lot, doing the fucking most, right? So let's back it up. So this Ben Navarro right here, Sherman Financial Group, filed more lawsuits to squeeze cash from people behind on their credit card bills. A Wall Street Journal, I could have called him the Wolf of Wall Street, shit. A Wall Street Journal analysis based on the 5 state court districts with searchable online records showed Sherman had the largest year-over-year increase of any firm identified between last March 15th and December 31st, up 52%, that's big, from the year earlier period, compared with a 24% decline in those districts for the industry as a whole, right? So they saw them stimulus checks coming out, I bet. That's what $1,400 stimulus checks can be seized by private collectors for unpaid debt. So you can see why he ramped up. So as the government was trying to get people, I know this is really tiny. My bad. Let me make it bigger. That's what he said. All right. So I know, like, you know, as the government was trying to provide relief for folks, for working class people and whatnot. So people like, this is the thing about Ben Navarro that I learned through my research last night. He is an opportunist. He is an opportunist, right? I got you, Nicole. He locates where the money is. As I referenced at the beginning of this live stream, I just received the book from Nicole, from Little Mama, received the book, A Wolf at the Schoolhouse Door. Shout out to Joy, who suggested this book. Shout out to all my education advocates who suggested I read this book. There's a part of a chapter talk about that's called Making Education a Business. And there's another part, the case for profit. And in those chapters, I learned how people like sections, I learned people like Navarro, Betsy DeVos, and other billionaires and millionaires and heiresses and whatnot. Yes, their goal is to also to put, you know, to damage and to destroy the systems that prop up public school, public education, but they're also very, very adept business people who know where the money is. Right. And so they're able to wedge their way in. And that's when you see what he did during the pandemic. As stimulus checks were going out, we see how he was moving. He is an adept businessman. The way that he's able to bamboozle and finesse so many people in Charleston is beyond me. Tell me how he is qualified to open up a school for your goddamn kids. Tell me how what makes him qualified. We have to stop suggesting or acting as if wealth means brilliant. Hello, you see what we had previous to the Biden administration. A sheer and utter fool, a foolish person ran this country for 4 years. Utterly foolish. You couldn't even make a casino in Atlantic City work. You couldn't make betting in New Jersey work. You a hard bankruptcy. How many times? Trump, 4 bankruptcies, right? Business over there in shady ass Azerbaijan. Like, come on, man. Like an idiot, but adept at finding business opportunities. And this is what we need to look at, especially with not just Navarro, but also Anita Zucker, and looking at her family tree, how her son-in-law gets down, buying influence, buying credibility, right? purchasing it and then selling it like mercenaries. This book really shows you that these are people who just see what the deals are. They see where the opportunities to engorge themselves financially, I guess. Does that make sense? I hope I didn't say anything untoward. But anyway, to engorge themselves, financially to really benefit. That's what they found. Okay, so $1,400 stimulus checks can be seized by private collectors for unpaid debt. Sherman, a privately held enterprise, through its subsidiaries, filed 15,420 more debt collection lawsuits in those districts during the year-over-year period. We read that little portion of that. In doing so, Ben Navarro and Sherman, all right, has cemented its reputation as a maverick in the industry. Since the founding of the company 2 decades ago, Sherman chief executive Ben Navarro, the Wolf of Meeting Street, Ben Navarro, right, has helped transform the once small and fragmented business of collecting old debt, right, into $1 billion industry. Now let's transition to this old John Oliver piece. I kind of fast forward from all the little shtick that I don't really find funny anymore for some reason. But it's gonna be plenty of shtick. But listen to this.
Debt buyer can then come after you for the full original amount. And if it can't collect, potentially it can then resell that debt for a fraction of what it paid to someone else who can still come after you for the original amount, or sell it for a fraction of what it paid, and so on and so on and so on. Now, you might think the information changing hands would include a lot of verifiable information, but you would be wrong.
It's, I think, helpful to understand that when I talk about debt that's being bought and sold here, we're really just talking about an Excel spreadsheet. The spreadsheet will have debtor's name, social security number, address, balance, date that the account was opened, maybe 1 or 2 other fields, but that's basically about it.
That's right.
I'm gonna bring it back here real quick to 2 minutes.
The extent to which seriously delinquent debts.
So you understand what Sherman and firms, debt collecting firms like Sherman, like Ben Navarro, Sherman Financial. So you understand how it works. Some of y'all already know this because as a girl who just cleaned up her credit, you know what I mean? I wish I would have cleaned it up before I financed my car, but that's okay. As a girl who just cleaned up her credit, right? The long and hard way, right? I'm not gonna make a joke. Y'all know how some of this work, how debt just keeps, like, people just buying your debt, like old debt might pop up. I'm like, damn, I had this back in whatever. Some stuff should be charged off, but people like Navarro and Sherman, they're able to find like they were taking money from people from debt that you shouldn't even be collecting from. He actually had to pay out. We'll get to it in the Washington Journal article. We'll get to some of the scuzzy stuff that he was literally, like, what they literally found to be objectionable.
Have now given birth to an entire debt-buying industry.
When most consumers get a call and say, I'm calling on your Bank of America debt, you assume that it's someone at Bank of America. But what happens is Bank of America has sold off that debt for pennies on the dollar years ago, and it's been bought and sold and bought and sold and bought and sold. Most of the big banks do it, and not just banks, but payday loans, book club membership, gym fees, auto loans. Every year, billions of dollars of this debt is sold off cheap.
It's true. Debt-buying companies like these that you've probably never heard of have amassed a huge amount of Americans' debt. In fact, the largest, Encore Capital Group.
This is back in 2016, but go ahead and throw Sherman Financial up in there because this is a big boy.
As these subsidiaries tell investors that 1 in 5 consumers either owes them money now or has owed them money in the past, which is incredible. Because that means statistically, 1 member of Evanescence owes or has owed Encore money. And I think we all know who that would be.
Okay, I hate this. I don't know why they just don't. It's old too. I don't know. But let's get back to the article real quick. So now you see how debt buying works. Y'all, some of y'all, again, y'all know about it. Not to put nobody on the spot, but I think debt has touched many people here. So getting back to Sherman and to the CEO, Ben Navarro, let's just reread this paragraph again as we continue to go on. In doing so, Sherman has cemented its reputation as a maverick in the industry. Since founding the company 2 decades ago, Sherman CEO Ben Navarro has helped transform the once small and fragmented business of collecting old credit card debt into a multi-billion-dollar industry dominated by huge firms, right? All right. And while many of his competitors have retrenched... Ooh, what's going on? What happened? All right. While many of its competitors have retrenched during the economic downturn. Oh, they really want me to watch this?
Switch your business.
They really want me to watch that. Economic downturns. Mr. Navarro has capitalized on them, expanding in the wake of the 2008 financial crisis. See, these are how these billionaires make. I want y'all to understand there's no ethical billionaire. Not even all Mr. All Shucks, Warren Buffett. There's no reason for billionaires should not exist. Right. And a lot of them, shit, even Beyonce and Jay-Z has some really, really fucked up business dealings, especially around police surveillance and monitoring of people under the custody of the criminal justice system. Like Jay-Z is just disgusting. Like, and then you're out here buying luxury vehicles for Robert Kraft as if he needs any help buying. It's just really, really icky practices. But when we talk about wealth, it really gets people kind of like, because I think some people do aspire to be wealthy, and so they don't want to demonize the person that, that maybe someone that they find aspirational. But usually if you're at billionaire status, you've made a number of concessions, and I'm using a light word, a light term. You've made a number of concessions. You made a number of compromises that skirt the line at being ethical. But wealth hoarding should never be a thing. And what we've seen as billionaires increase, and they hoard the majority of this nation's wealth, we see that disparity grow, right? We see wealth and income and inequality get bigger and bigger. Like that gap gets bigger and bigger. And so, so how we just entranced by this man's, fake ass Tony Stark impression. Relax. You're not a billionaire. Like, you wish you were fucking Bruce Wayne or Tony Stark. You're not. I could see if you were like solving crime. Even though, whatever. Okay. and while competitors retrenched, we read this. During the pandemic, this is important. During the pandemic, most of Sherman's largest rivals filed fewer new lawsuits citing borrower hardships. You got it. Hardship, right? Understanding the people that borrow money are experiencing a hardship. All right, two publicly traded competitors, PRA Group and Encore. We just saw them in the old John Oliver piece, right? PRA and Encore Capital Group both sued fewer people in 2020 than in 2019, and they limited new collection efforts. California-based Opportune Financial Corp suspended new lawsuits and filings, dismissed pending cases, and capped the interest rates on its loans, right? Keep going with this Wall Street Journal piece on the Wolf of Meeting Street. All right, a spokesman for Sherman and Mr. Navarro, its majority owner, said that while the company has filed more suits, this is the bullshit right here, while they filed more suits than the year earlier, it also owed more debt during that period. So basically they're saying they bought more debts, they bought more accounts. And so they sued more people because they took on more, they bought more debt. And it's a bullshit excuse, right? Because then I love a good pushback. All right, so and then it goes on. The other spokesman, Sherman spokesman David Wells, said that the company's pandemic response shouldn't be measured by the number of lawsuits it filed. In addition, this is the bullshit spin. In addition to drastically reducing its suit filing rate, Resurgent implemented many customer-friendly policies during the pandemic. All right, suing people while they were struggling even before the pandemic may turn. Right, let me just say this: being a debt collector is already shady boots anyway, right? Being a debt collector is always bleh, cornball shit, right? Already, but let's just keep reading. Suing people who were struggling even before the pandemic may turn out to be a canny move, right? For those who trying to get rich by any means. Government stimulus breaks on rent and lockdown-driven spending cuts. Driven spending cuts mean many people without much savings now have some cash in the bank. Courts can order banks to take, so they're acknowledging, the writers are acknowledging that they know what they were doing by suing more people during the pandemic again because of the stimulus checks, because of the some additional perhaps what you call that when you have more cash on hand, disposable income. Supposedly, even though I don't say that stimulus checks were disposable income literally, but they knew what time it is. Again, This dude knows where a bag is at. This dude got a nose for the bag. He'll get to the bag by any means necessary. So suing people who are struggling even before the pandemic may turn out to be a canny move. Government stimulus, brakes on rent, and lockdown-driven spending cuts mean many people without much savings now have some cash in the bank. Courts can order banks to take such savings from debtors' accounts and give the money to creditors. Because Sherman discloses little about its financial results or operations, it couldn't be determined how profitable its approach has been. But we can take a gander. Right? Let's go. Let's keep learning about the Wolf of Meeting Street, and we're gonna get to his own words. We're gonna hear directly from this fugazi ass Tony Stark in a second. All right, Sherman Financial is based in Charleston, South Carolina. Got its start buying distressed debts from other firms. Gag, wretch, barf. All right. Initially, its competitors were small and unable to handle large volumes, while Sherman, backed by big investors, bought large portfolios using computer systems that made analyzing old loans and collecting on them more efficient and profitable. Over the years, Sherman diversified. It bought a bank. I'm doing this on purpose. It bought a bank that issues high interest credit cards, often to consumers with weak credit. So I don't know if y'all know how disgusting this is. And this who y'all want leading y'all education? This who y'all want in y'all schools? This who y'all want? Let me read the chat real quick because I haven't read it in a while. El J just going back. So these comments might be in reference to something I said 10 minutes ago. But El J, you dropped in chat earlier, diversifying his wealth paid for by people late on their credit cards, especially during the pandemic. Swell. I see the sarcasm, right? B-Man, you drop in there. What a snake. Agree with you 100%. Brianna, you said agreed. Why is he in the schools? My question exactly, B. Like, come on. All right, Joni, you said I would never send my kid to a school run by a debt collector. Come on. They are the worst people. I'm sorry. Come on. Slumlords and debt collectors. Come on. Kia, you said that sadly my parents won't research Navarro and send their kids to the school. I get it. Many parents, not your parents, sorry. I was like, damn, your parents still having kids? Many parents, they will not research him at all. Absolutely. Kia, you went on to say about Jay-Z. Jay-Z is doing the most right now with his biz deals of late. Yes, he is. Don't let the locks fool you. Don't let the Basquiat cosplay fool you, though, with Jay-Z. Come on. LQJ, you said in the chat, so many levels of debt collecting hell. He's showing he's way far down. He's very far down. Hey, this Justin, you said rich by any means necessary. Yup. This is so diseased. Couldn't agree more. Courtney, you say, so they're creating debtors. Exactly. Courtney. Exactly. Shout out Eartha Snit. Courtney, exactly. Getting to my next point. So they're creating debtors, right? Wow, it gets worse. Right, man? Right? LQJ, you went on to say, he is in every part of the system setting up people to default. Exactly. Let me just get back to my presentation. Now, some of this stuff I've already shared with y'all. So nothing here is inside information per se, right? Let's go ahead and present. Let's show my first graphic because I was proud of what I did. It took a minute to find all these scraps and stuff like that. Let me stop. Downloaded like mad PNGs of newspapers, and then I threw some stuff on there. You know what I mean? All right. But yeah, shout out to my co-producer behind the scenes who helped me find the image that I felt was like accurate of his dark soul, sunken cheeks, Skeletor. Yeah. All right. So for those who have watched the live stream before, who are familiar with my content, who know where I stand, this is an important graphic to. I've shared this during election time. This is important. So at the top, you see we already talked about Anita Zucker last week. Ben Navarro's right there to her right. Then you have Josh Bell, wretch. All right, we're gonna get into him and his emails to me, where I met Josh. We're gonna go down memory lane, right? Jarita Postal Weight. So on and so forth. Y'all see the mess, right? And you see how this graph shows you, even if it's a little small for y'all, this graph shows you where Navarro is currently situated in terms of schools. So right there, let's just follow Navarro right now, right? We're not going to worry about Coastal. We're not going to worry about Anita Zucker and Cradle to Career. And I want to say this too. If you are a black person, if you are just a friend of any color and you work for any of these organizations, please don't take this shit personal. Please, and one thing you have, I don't care what, unless it's your own organization or foundation that you work for, you got to stop the we and us language, because you are not that job, and you definitely are not the millionaire or billionaire backing this. You're not those interests. You have to separate yourself from the actual system of predatory nonprofit culture. I'm not coming at anybody who worked for Charleston Rise. I'm not coming at anybody who worked for Cradle for Career. I'm not coming at any individual who works at Coastal. Now, the leadership of those institutions are fair game. And the dark money funding that goes into these organizations is fair game. I will continue to talk about that, and I will continue to interrogate power. But I do not want to get DMs and text messages saying like, oh, can we talk because I think you got it wrong. I don't have it wrong. I know. Trust me, I just worked for a fund that I thought was super like unproblematic, and it's not. Don't feel alone, okay? And my shit was black run, at least in one aspect. So don't feel away if I'm coming at an organization that you either volunteer for or your kids go to. We ain't talking about you. We talking about the billionaires. You ain't even like. You got to figure this stuff out, but don't come at me like, oh, you got it wrong just because you enjoy where you work. That's all I gotta say. I pause for effect. I don't know. Anyway, he do like a Grim Reaper, little mama. All right, like Skeletor to me. I don't know, childhood He-Man vibes. All right, so just want to focus on this. Ben Navarro, founding member of Coalition for Kids, executive director Josh Bell, who bamboozled me out of some money and never paid it back, and some other bullshit, right? And they're very close. They have a close relationship. What's missing here is Josh Bell's connection to Meeting Street, because he has it. Right. And we're going to show you video evidence in a second. Right. So private partner with Charleston County School Districts here, owner. So understand, Meeting Street Schools is a for-profit school. OK, is a for-profit school. He's the owner. He's the CEO of a school, y'all. OK, well, essentially, I don't know what his title is, but he's an owner. Let's just say that. Right. And then has two Meeting Street school staff members on board at Charleston Rise, right? So we talked about that. Who's making decisions for Charleston County School District? Okay, Charleston Coalition for Kids right here to the upper left pays to elect school board members. So this is where the dark money comes in from, the Navarro, from your Anita Zuckers, lots of dark money. Linda Kettner tried to warn us way back when. I don't know if anybody was listening. All right. She was dry snitching on her peeps, on her fellow wealthy folks, and I ain't mad at her. She was dry snitching. She was trying to tell us. All right. So here you go. Meeting Street Schools LLC is receiving public funds that should go to public schools, but they're privately operated and managed. Right. That's the fucked up part. That's what A Wolf at the Schoolhouse Door kind of tells you how that works, how they got through all these loopholes throughout the country to get their hands on, public funds to go into these private institutions, right? Sherman Financial, we're still reading. Sherman Financial, debt collection, a collection agency owned by Ben Navarro. I actually want to pop out because I want to get to what Courtney said earlier. They're creating debtors. And they're creating prospective customers. So this is a school bus right here. This is Meeting Street Academy. And as you can see, Sherman Financial's bank here, Credit One. Looks like a lot like Capital One, right? Not even original. But yeah, so you got this branding on the kids, on certain things, paraphernalia that they may wear, on their school bus, right? They're creating debtors, they're creating customers as well. And getting into education, one other benefit of Ben Navarro getting into education is that you can start creating a customer base with young people. You can get into these homes with these tablets and laptops and Chromebooks and all the tech, because he's a big tech dude, right? He can get into these homes and create and start surveilling them at a younger age. And that's exactly what a lot of those other organizations really are essentially set up to do, is to think about it, literally cradle to career. This is the way these predatory nonprofits get into these households early on and start tracking specifically Black and brown and marginalized and poor communities. Specifically, they will start surveilling you. A lot of the stuff that the tech and all that is all about surveillance. It's all about collecting data. It's all about mining for information, and to continue to profit from saying that you're setting out to help these communities, but in essence, you're really finding financial opportunities to enrich yourself instead of saying engorge. enrich yourselves. So let's just hear from the Crypt Keeper's mouth. All right, this is the most bullshit. This is why. Okay, before the research for this show, before the research for this show, I already had my reasons why I hated TEDx Charleston. All right, I witnessed some real fucked up shit. The year that I think Kylon spoke, I'm not talking about Kylon specifically, but I think it's the year that he spoke. Yeah, that year was super problematic. It came out in the city paper. Charleston TEDx, just like Surge, just like a lot of other white-led liberal shit here in Charleston, is super problematic and super bigoted behind the scenes. And so at that time, I was the content creator for Benny Starr, and he was tapped to speak at TEDx. And I think he had already did one in Greenville before, but he was asked to speak at TEDx Charleston, and it was through his involvement, being that I was a content creator and somewhat of an advisor around the political shit. It was through his involvement that we learned that, oh shit, wait a minute, this is crazy. This is crazy. They saying all this bigoted shit, right? So that was my own personal bias with TEDx. Plus, I'm not really a fan of like the TEDx, some of the local people tap to speak at TEDx, right? No, I've never been asked and actually feel great about that. That means I'm fishing with a different kind of bait, and I'm good. I didn't catch that one. All right. Okay. What? Sunday's. Oh no. What is this? Girl. Okay, sorry. I get emails and stuff while I'm on. I'm sorry, y'all. All right. So let's just hear from. I should have just let it play. Here, let's listen to Ben Navarro at this TEDx Charleston talk. What year was this? 2014. Laying the groundwork. Black Mirror territory.
I don't know about you, but I find the older that I get, the more that simple, practical logic.
Real quick. Watch how, like what Zucker did at the Post and Courier, We Are the Women, right? First of all, we, sweetie, you in a whole nother tax stratosphere. But like with the We Are the Women series that she financed, she bought access to, like here, I'm sure he donated a nice little chunk to TEDx. These billionaires love trying to convince y'all that they're just everyday, regular, tax-paying Charlestonians. If you don't have several fucking seats, y'all are not me. Y'all are not like me. Are you trying to make sure you helping your Asian parents plan for retirement and continue to live comfortably during retirement? Are you paying back student loan debts over 20 years to Navient? You are not like me, and I need y'all to understand this. While I will never erase their humanity, I would never tell y'all to berate these people or anything like that, but let's not treat them like they us. They not. Again, to those who work with these people, work at these schools, if you taking anything I'm saying personally, you got to divorce yourself. You are not your job. You are not your billionaire employer. So just go ahead and separate yourself. Nor will you probably ever reach this level of wealth. Let's just be real, right? So like some people just need to get real comfortable with being uncomfortable around billionaires. Billionaires should make you fucking nervous when they walk in a room, especially if they're on a fucking TEDx stage. Billionaires should make you fucking start sweating bullets. You should be sweating like a whore in church. Ask me how I know.
Logic provides the answers to most of life's most complicated problems. When I was younger and someone would explain something really complicated to me, I would tend to think, they just must be smarter than me. Well, now when that same situation happens, I tend to think, they don't really know what they're talking about. Well, education is no different. You know, so many of us care so deeply about education. As we know, it is inextricably linked to the future of our country. Yet so many of us are so confused about what to do. I know I used to be one of those confused people too. Well, what if I told you that if you'll stay with me for the next 10 minutes or so, you will find that same...
I want to say this. Joy, thank you. Good morning. Double dip. Yeah. Good morning, Joy. Joy, if you don't mind, I don't want to put you on the spot, but your comments are really gonna help contextualize. So look, y'all, I'm playing this, and I'm not editorializing what he's saying. I'm not, but I will in a second. And I really want to, if whomever feels comfortable, but I want y'all to know this: everything he's saying is bullshit. Is a sales pitch. And again, TEDx stages, especially local TEDx stages, are notorious for this kind of shit, where they just put out people who just spew propaganda, given whatever interest they're supporting and whatnot, and also to come off more believable, credible, relatable, right? Right? This man literally bought the Volvo tennis tournament. Like, he's not like you. He's not like me. And what he's saying is a sales pitch. He's telling you to hate on public schools and how ineffective and inefficient they are, right? As I'm reading in chapters 6, 5, and 6 of A Wolf at the Schoolhouse Door, they make this case. DeVos and so many others have made this case that it's so inefficient. Teachers get paid too much. All these different arguments is all bullshit. This is a sales pitch. It has I thought a TEDx stage was supposed to be about ideas and learning and shit. This is bullshit.
Simple, practical logic applies. While you'll have some real clarity as to the answers, make no mistake, the answers may be relatively simple, but the work is very, very hard. I care about education not because of some idealistic view of what people should know. Heck, I didn't even like school all that much, to be honest. For me, school was a stepping stone or a box to check before I could get out into the world. But the public schools that I attended, they were good schools, schools that gave me the ability to communicate in writing and verbally, and gave me a solid background in math. I like to say that when I graduated college, I didn't know anything, which is totally true, but I did have the ability to talk to people and to learn what I needed to. And this is why I care so much about education, because in this amazing country of ours, I believe everyone should have a chance to succeed. No one should.
He doesn't care about that. He cares about profit. He doesn't care. You can't care about education. You can't care about the people. But watch this bullshit he starts to do, because he starts to racialize. He starts to racialize inequities in, I guess, either learning or in public schools. He racializes that, and he listen to the language he uses. There's a reason why I'm letting this rock. We're not gonna watch the whole thing, but there's a reason why I'm letting this rock so long. Is because I want you to hear the language that he employs.
Be guaranteed anything, but everyone should have a chance to attain their version of the American dream. And for many children, given the schools they are required to attend, it's not possible. Without that solid educational foundation,
yes, Kia, it's in the book.
It's not possible, and it's under-resourced kids that have the least educational opportunity. In my mind, that's unfair and that's un-American. And that's why I started a school in Charleston.
As far as I'm assuming, Joy, your last comment was in reference to where TEDx chooses its host cities and locations. You wrote, they don't go to South Carolina rural districts who are desperate for help. Is that what you meant? They go to Greenville and Charleston, the two biggest piggy banks, school districts in the state. I don't know if you meant literally TEDx, but if you want to clarify, you can. But I thought it was worth reading. Right. This Justin you just dropped. This has me thinking of doing a dig into the owners of Legacy Charter. You better. Just for your own, like, just so you have more clarity, like for nothing more than, I think that's a lot of things too. Like sometimes I get the comments like, whoa, this is a lot. This is a lot. I don't even know how to handle this. I get that. I say the same thing. Like I talk about oppression too often during this live stream. That's why I joke and kind of key to keep it a little light, because it's really heavy. But what I want people to do, that's exactly what I want people to do. I just want you to do your own. I want to encourage you to do your own digging into local interests. You have to interrogate the way power flows. You can't address any issues. From schools to environmental issues. You have to understand what powerful people and forces are creating the inequity. And it's going to be people who you like. It's going to be people whose hair you like, whose fashion sense you admire. It's going to be people that you once aspired to be like. It's gonna be an overall like like dig, but I'm encouraging people to continue to investigate where you live, who's really pulling the levers. And so sometimes I think, like I said, people think that I want you to boycott everything. Nah, ain't nobody asking you to do all that like all the time. But I am asking you to be more thoughtful in how you go about saying things or promoting things or giving your credibility to an organization, like how Coalition for Kids started out, used me, exploited my relationship with the community to promote its bullshit. Not just them, but countless other predatory nonprofits. Shit, my former employer chose me because I had credibility, and that's why they chose me. They didn't know how thorough I was, and then the checks wasn't the only thing I'm motivated by, right? I didn't take the severance, and I didn't sign the NDA. I'm unbossed, right? So like like things like this happens where they use the credibility of the people, like regular everyday folks, the mom on the PTA board who just really wants to make sure that her kids get a quality education. They exploit these people. They exploit them. And I think it's important. I don't know, Justin, it just made me I was inspired just to say that after you do a little digging into Legacy Charter up in the upstate. Yeah. Kia, you picked it up on it, and I think Joy, you're co-signing it, right? Black and brown equals underserved. They racialize poverty. They racialize these inequities that are caused by the actual billionaires and white flight and a whole host of other factors. But it's caused by people like Ben Navarro. It's caused by them, right? Kia, you said CCSD calls them failing schools, like the kids or teachers are failing. No, the district is failing the students. Absolutely. Courtney, aka Earth the Snit. I can call you by your nickname because it's dope. Earth the Snit. The special kind of privilege. There are a lot of issues I'm passionate about, but I never think I could be a leader with no background. Absolutely, the hubris, not hubris, but like the audacity of just like, I wish I could move like a white man. I really do sometimes, and sometimes I do try to move like my inner Hank. I call him Hank. I got Gunner. Shout out Joni. I got Gunner. That's my sophomoric, really bad sense of humor, inner white boy who says the N-word and he shouldn't. That's the other part. But the other part of me is like, what would Hank do? Mika, get that inner Hank out. Well, when you go to get your car service, Hank needs to be at that. Nope, I just want my tires. Don't fix nothing else. Don't come back with nothing. No, I don't need new wipers. No. Give me my tires, the cheapest ones, right? Right? No background. He could never, Earth the Snit, you went on to say, he could have spent his money trying to support and improve public schools, but he decided to build a school. Goofy, very goofy. Couldn't agree more. This Justin, been meaning to send you something. Okay. On RG, please do it. I need to exchange numbers with you. You and Little Mama. The Caucasity has the Little Mama, you says right, but if he helps that way, right, he doesn't get anything out of it. Absolutely, Joni. Those schools are beginning to exploit children Joni, you that's a whole nother show, a whole nother live stream. You got that right. And now the way athletics are now, we don't even, school teams are not even a thing. It's these elite, travel teams and AAU, of course, AAU, yeah. But it's these other travel teams or these elite schools, these very, very elite schools, like a school that, let's say, LeBron James' children will go to, right? These elite schools, they are starting to see, okay, now we're going to bring the blacks in and see if they can dunk a ball or run fast.
Called Meeting Street Academy. And I'd like to introduce you to one of our students.
Let me go back.
Have a chance to succeed. No one should be guaranteed anything, but everyone should have a chance to attain
People should be guaranteed certain fundamental rights. They should be guaranteed. Stop acting like you made your wealth. Stop acting like you made your wealth through wholesome means and shit.
Their version of the American dream.
You earned
for
it.
Many children, given the schools they are required to attend.
Look at this.
It's not possible.
So he's talking about school choice.
Without that solid educational foundation, it's not possible. And it's under-resourced kids,
black kids,
that have the least educational opportunity. In my mind, that's unfair and that's un-American. And that's why I started a school in Charleston called Meeting Street Academy.
Boo.
I'd like to introduce you
No shade.
to one of our students, Byron. Byron is a bright young...
I ain't gonna lie, when he put his picture up there, I thought his name was gonna be Jamal or Kareem. I thought he was gonna find, can we find a kid with a really ethnic black name? I was waiting for that. Shout out to Byron though. Hope you're doing well, Byron.
Kid comes from a great family and was zoned to attend one of Charleston's lowest performing schools.
Boo.
So instead, his parents decided to send him to Meeting Street. Well, let's look around our state at what's going on for kids like Byron. When we take a look at fourth graders from a low-income or under-resourced background, we find that out of every 6 kids, only 1 is proficient in reading. 1 out of 6.
That's not the schools, baby. I mean, that's not because it's public school. That's because of the school. Seriously, again, if I could see if I hadn't gone to a quality public school system, from what I gather from my experience, and maybe I'm just being nostalgic, but I don't suffer from nostalgia. My twin brother, nostalgic all day, right? During Versus last night, mad nostalgic. I'm not really, nostalgia ain't my thing. I'm like, if I don't see it, I'm not a nostalgic person. But I just remember fundamentally just healthy, fundamentally encouraging, enriching experiences going through Tinton Falls schools. It's one of the reasons why my parents bought the house where they bought, like where we lived prior to, when I was very, very little, when I was born, we lived on another part of Monmouth County. It was great. It was cool. It was really, really black. But the school systems were an issue. And so my parents chose to move a little bit away from where my mom was at the time. And we ended up in Tinton Falls. And my schools were diverse. My classmates ran the gamut. Of course, there was Earl Naval Base there. So like you get that instant like diversity, I think, from having Earl and the Monmouth base as well. Blanking on like childhood places, but so but it was very diverse, and the schools were really good. The teachers engaged my parents. The teachers knew about me and my brother being twins and always referenced it. And so it was like, we used to go shopping with my teacher. I would go. You can't do this no more. But we would go on a lunch break. We had to sign a permission slip. Our teacher would send us home with permission slips. Like, can Tamika come with me to Acme? Because my teacher would shop on her break, and she would bring kids and buy us candy and stuff like that. You can't do shit like that no more. But like, that's how close we were to our teachers. And like, I'd have teachers that my older brother and sister had, in like middle school and stuff like that. And they would say, "Oh, you got this person." Ooh. Like, I just remember just really healthy experiences. Whenever I would fall back in math, they would tell my mom in advance, Mika's falling back in math. So then, my mom got me supplemental help and worked with the school. I had a list because I had had big spaces in my teeth and whatnot. I went to speech. Like, I remember all these. I didn't get left back or anything like that. It was just such it's so different from what I went through once I got to Charleston. So different from top to bottom. And then just so to hear someone blame, I know I went on a little rant, but y'all are kind of talking too. I love these really meaty comments. I'm gonna try to get to many of them as possible. But so when people attack public schools, no, and I wasn't in no ultra rich place. It works if it works. If the teachers care, if the system hasn't been attacked by these groups, by these debt collectors and these billionaire entrepreneurs, because that's all they are, edupreneurs. I think the book called them edupreneurs. That's all they are. He's just another edupreneur attacking a system and calling it socialism. And he's running a for-profit school. How can y'all not see in the age of University of Phoenix for-profit student debt? Like, how can y'all think that this is a good idea? Not y'all, literally, but how can people think that this is a good idea to have the wolf so close to the schoolhouse door?
And here's the part that really, I think, surprised me when I started looking at these numbers. You look at the South Carolina public school students, over 50%, 54% are considered low income. This is outrageous. 54%.
You are creating the inequity as a billionaire. You a whole wealth hoarder.
Of our kids in the public schools are low income. Of those kids, only 1 out of 6 are proficient in reading. Makes your head explode. So let's look at some other numbers that will give you a window into how we're doing with our low-income African Americans.
Yeah, I'm gonna stop it there because I can't. Let's get to this clip real quick. It's a mess. That whole thing is propagandistic. It's propaganda. And TEDx should be ashamed of themselves, but they always do fugazi presentations. I'm sorry if y'all spoke at TEDx. Like, Mika, you hate everything. I don't hate everything. I don't hate everything, but TEDx is problematic. I mean, read the city paper article. They problematic. This is one right here. This one right here.
Meeting Street Scholarship.
So this is a good segue. This is a great segue. So remember a couple weeks ago, it made news. Meeting Street School Scholarship founder Ben Navarro inspires 2021 scholarship recipients. Right? This is a good segue to some brown commentary on this whole practice of billionaires using philanthropy and schools and bullshit to really whitewash their image, right? So just check this out. This is very interesting. You're gonna see a very special guest. Here we go.
I'd like to introduce Ben Navarro, who is the...
this fucker right here, Josh Bell, director of Meeting Street Scholarship Fund. So this is interesting. So you definitely were, you were the executive director. I don't know if Josh Bell is still the executive director, but you were executive director of Coalition for Kids, which is a dark money nonprofit that pays for candidates and got some good ROI on their investment last school board election. Unfortunately, shout out to Erica who won her election. Shout out to Kristen French who won her election. But there was some other dark money candidates that actually made it onto the board, right? And they made sure to seek out some black ones. So y'all, you know what I mean? But this fucker right here, where my money at, Josh? We're gonna get to my emails where I first met Josh. I got them all lined up. But this is a duplicitous motherfucker right here. Like attract like.
The founder and visionary, along with his wife Kelly, of the Meeting Street Scholarship Fund, to give some remarks and context about this incredible opportunity. So if you'll give a big round of applause to Ben Navarro.
Oh, you wearing shorts? I'm relatable. I get hot just like you.
Fun.
This dude like 60, right? Fake ass Tony Stark.
So great to see you all here. Let me start out with a question. Do many of you believe in divine intervention?
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Let's hear it for divine intervention.
Divine intervention.
Because I do. And I want to share
I'm sure he does believe because he thinks he's God. He definitely has a God complex.
Brief story with you.
Dude definitely don't skip upper body day though, right? I see what's poking through a little bit. I see what, you know what I mean? Really into fitness.
So last fall, we were reviewing academic results from a few of our schools.
Listen to this bullshit.
And looking in particular at some of the higher performing kids. And some would say popped in my head. I might say it was placed in my head.
God complex.
Wait a second. What if we could make it possible for every CCSD student who qualifies to be able to afford to go to college? And it literally, like that, popped in my head. And so I do what I usually do is I call somebody smarter than me, one of our analysts, and I say, hey, look at the numbers and tell me how many kids that would be. And he came back and said it would be around 100 kids a year. And here we are with 94.
Look at this.
And the thing that I was particularly excited about is I didn't want to have some complicated process to apply. I wanted it to be simple. And we said, well, there's this thing called the Life Scholarship, and that qualifies kids for academics. And there's this thing called the Pell Grant, and that qualifies kids for need. As long as they meet those requirements and they go to one of our best schools in South Carolina, sounds like we have a winning formula. And everybody loved it, except they said, wait a second, it's like November, and you're wanting to do this for the coming school year. How the heck is that possible? Well, they didn't know that I had a secret weapon who I could call. and that secret weapon happens to be Mr. Josh Bell.
Okay, so this is good. This is a good segue. All right, congregation, open your books, open your Bibles, like open your A Wolf at the Schoolhouse Door, because I made sure I put tab. You know, when I like a book, the jacket comes off. Yeah, when I really like a book, the jacket comes off. All right, so A Wolf at the Schoolhouse Door, but I made sure to stop it there for a reason, right? Let me find my paragraph. Oh, Lord, this looks like a mad woman. Remember, I want y'all to remember the term edupreneurs, right? He's an edupreneur. But I wanna just focus on what. Yeah. Here we go. So this is under the Making Education a Business portion of the book. So it says, I'm gonna read this paragraph. The country's biggest experiment in for-profit education was a bust. It referenced something else that I'm not gonna read from 2001. And yet in its ruins lay key lessons for advocates of school privatization, like Anita Zucker, like Ben Navarro, like Bill Gates, like Betsy DeVos. All right, Edison's business had depended upon a company's ability to ink lucrative contracts with school districts. Such an arrangement left the education bureaucracy, school boards, administrators, teachers groups, and parent organizations with tremendous power to kill off for-profit ventures. If money-making schools were to succeed, they'd have to do what Ben Navarro is pointing at right now, what he's essentially about to thank Josh for. They have to do this for money-making schools to succeed. The entire system needed to be upended, with individuals and families replacing school districts as the consumers of education. Okay? So they have to go after the school boards, right? You have to kind of place operatives in so many different areas, including school boards, right? So you have to actually dismantle and attack and weaken the teachers' unions. You have to weaken the parents, the teachers' groups and whatnot. You have to infiltrate or weaken. And by infiltrating, you are going to weaken it, right? So that's why his relationship with Jarita Postlewaite is so curious. That's why the dark money that's flooded and bought the election of a couple of three Coalition for Kids candidates who made it to the school board. That's why that's so interesting. But listen to this. Again, it's a small detail, but for the learned... For those with the third eye open with this bullshit because of trauma, it makes sense.
School year. How the heck is that possible? Well, they didn't know that I had a secret weapon who I could call, and that secret weapon happens to be Mr. Josh Bell. And if Josh, if you'd stand up just to be recognized for a second. So
was that Teppenberg there?
Josh put together an amazing team of people and made this thing a reality, and I couldn't be more excited to see what that reality.
Okay, so that's the debt collector. Let's get back to this, right? So again, this is who Josh Bell was. Josh Bell, executive director of Coalition for Kids, dark money funding, 6 of the 9 CC. That's people 6 of the 9 people running, right? I forgot how many people landed. Was it 3? I'm about to read these comments too, right? So that's who Josh Bell is, right here next to Ben Navarro, right? He just thanked him, yada, yada, yada. I want to go down to my own personal relationship with Josh. So, I meant to obscure people's names. I can't even use that last one. I forgot to change the name. Here, I don't mind as much. So the other email was just the friend, and I don't hold her accountable, but the friend who introduced me to Josh, it was under some real shady whatever. All right, so here, let me see. Right, so I met Josh back in 2018. He bamboozled me into becoming a founding member of Coalition for Kids. I withdrew my name, much like Mayor Tecklenburg did, much like my friends who I talked to removed their name. And throughout those conversations, I think a lot of them took place via text. But through those conversations, I had asked Josh for my money back because so every email he would send us had a fundraising link right at the bottom. I don't know, you can't see it with my thing, but there are fundraising links at the bottom here. And I know y'all can't read it like that, but just trust me. But this one email here, again, is really tiny, and I can't blow it up because it's a slide. I don't think I can. No. Let me go back. So this is back in February of 2019. So Josh is replying to me, Mika, I hope you're doing well. Bullshit. I hope you're doing well. This new year goes up to a great start. Brittany Packnett, this is how he got me too. So we met at Kudu back in 2018. Is it Kudu or Kudu? Kudu, whatever. Y'all know the coffee house downtown. So we met there. And one of the things he used to entice me into like this collaboration or joining and becoming a founding member was his proximity to Brittany Packnett. I know a lot of people like Brittany Packnett. I think her name is Cunningham now. I know a lot of people like her activist voice. She pops up Kia or MSNBC all the time. But Brittany Packnett is a Teach for America alum. And back then I didn't have this analysis. I didn't know what Teach for America was. I didn't know how they moved and operated. And I'm not coming at anybody who worked for Teach for America, but it is what it is, right? It might have started off as one thing, but it definitely has ended up being something totally different. And so Josh Bell and Brittany Packnett both had a relationship because they both work for Teach for America. So while I'm with him at Kudu, he flashes a picture. Like, so he said he acts as, I don't know if he really did it, but he acts as if he takes his cell phone, he acts as if he texting Brittany right there, and then he shows me a picture. He shows me a picture of Brittany supposedly waving. Now, I don't know if that was a real picture that he kept it and that's part of the scam, but that's how he got me. He showed me that he was in relationship with someone who at that point I really revered. Still think that Brittany is a very brilliant young woman. Her political, what she comes with, the baggage she comes with, I just can't fuck with no more. A lot of the interest that she's about and the professional activism shit, I'm over it. Her, D-Ray, all of them, right? Tamika Mallory, all of them. I'm just done with the professional activist bullshit and the interest that they're actually supporting, and all the while making it look like they're actually people, men and women of the people, and they're not, right? So he flashed a picture of Brittany Packnett. So this is like after that was our first meeting in 2018. So fast forward to when I said, nah, my people, John Hale collected me. What's her name? Carol Temple collected me gently, but got me all the way together. Like, girl, do you know who Coalition for Kids is? Do you know what this is? And at first I was defiant. I'm like, I trust Josh. I trust him. I trusted all those names, my friends on this list, people I really respect. And then it wasn't until people started saying, nah, like AJ, John Hale, Carol Temple, people were like, yeah, you really need to look closer at this. This is actually a school privatization. And then I came out publicly on Facebook and denounced I'm totally stepping away from this. Totally just don't want nothing to do with this organization. Josh comes back with a little charm offensive. I hope you're doing well this year, blah, blah, blah. Brittany Packnett let me know that she's coming to town with Pod Save America tour. So y'all remember a few years ago, back in 2019, Pod Save America came to the music hall, Charleston Music Hall. Brittany Packnett was one of the panelists that was going to be featured there. And so this is him enticing me. Say, hey, I know you said you want your money back. I can give you your money back. Your generous monthly donations were appreciated. But if you continue to feel opposed to what we're trying to accomplish, I want to return your contributions. He never returned my money, right? But he was here offering me tickets. And I asked him, and just to see where his mind was at, I'm like, oh, that sounds really generous. Where do I pick up the tickets? And he was like, oh, no, you have to come with me. I was like, what the fuck? So he was still, even though I had publicly denounced him and said this shit is bullshit and asked for my money back, right? Or no, I think he suggested I can get my money back. He then still wanted to use me in a photo op. He still wanted to use me and leverage it. Like, it was so weird and insidious and disgusting. The lengths they go to try to exploit you and try to exploit your sensibilities and whatnot. So that's who Josh Bell is. When you see Ben Navarro lifting him up, Josh is very skilled at making sure this dark money flows the way it does onto the school board in the form of their purchase picks for school board representation, right? Horrible. I'm ignoring the chat and I'm so sorry. Joy, I'm just going to go up to Joy real quick. Debbie said, shut up. I got you. To Ben. Joy, you said earlier, why do we have the best schools and failing schools? Absolutely, right? Public schools should all be quality, but they need to keep disparities high. Otherwise, then who are they going to save? Exactly. They create the debtors, right? The future customers, and also they create the problem. And then you're supposed to think that billionaires are out here to fix it, right? So we're going to back out a little bit And let's watch this right here. I think I want to say, is this good? Yeah, because this talks about that whole school scholarship shit. Let me see if I might want to fast forward it to that. I'm gonna start backwards. I'm gonna start here and then come back to the front. Can y'all hear this? What about black billionaires? This is from 2019. You know, why billionaires won't save us. This is Patriot with Hassan Minaj. I think my brother and sister-in-law just went to go see him in Chicago. But listen to this. This is so funny. It's funny. So, let's bring it back to the Wolf of Meeting Street. Ben Navarro is a debt collector. Ben Navarro exploits the people who can't pay. We need to go back to that Wall Street Journal piece because that via Fox News, because it shows you like they actually reach out to one person who basically had to file bankruptcy because of Sherman Financial and Ben Navarro and his practices. Debt collectors, just by virtue of what they do, are despicable people. And poor people, and debt collectors like Sherman Financial and Ben Navarro specifically look for and target people who are on the rope, so to speak. All right. So they also collect debt that should be charged off, that shouldn't even be collectible. So much so that they got fined $1 million. Ben Navarro and Sherman Financial had to pay $1 million. I'll go back to the article because I don't want anything to be misconstrued. It's not libel. It's not slander. It's actual real news. And so when we talk about, so bringing it back here, this is a whole debt collector that has rebranded himself into some sort of modern day Tony Stark, some sort of comic book character who's out here to just battle and fight through inequities and solve our problems. The one thing Ben Navarro knows how to do is get to a bag. This dude is an edupreneur. This dude is an entrepreneur. This dude is a hustler. This dude is the Wolf of Meeting Street. This is not I don't care how many tennis tournaments his daughter wins. I don't care how many tennis tournaments he purchases. He is out here to get that bag, and that's it. And what he does with Meeting Street School, one of the reasons, other than the financial interest that he stands to enjoy, the other thing that he gets to enjoy is this type of whitewashing of what he actually is, which is a predatory debt collector that's trying to attack our public school systems through privatization. I gotta watch episode 1 of season 3 that just debuted last night. I fell asleep. I couldn't watch it. Let's get back right here because there was a compelling story here within this article. Again, this was originally published, I believe, in Wall Street Journal, picked up by a number of other sites. Shout out to the little mama for getting me, for being the news plug. All right, let's close it out. And the other icky thing is he got Jersey roots. God damn it. He got Jersey roots, y'all. All right, let's just recap real quick on the Wolf of Meeting Street. Ben Navarro, debt collector. Fake ass Tony Stark. All right, Sherman based in Charleston. We got this. Got it started by buying distressed debts. So we already knew that. So they buy distressed debts, right? And then he revolutionized the industry allegedly through his use of technology. Down here, Mr. Navarro, Sherman's 58-year-old, yeah, he is 60, 58-year-old founder has made a fortune in this business. He and his partners have created a global investment firm whose holdings have included an office park in Ireland, a big chunk of South Amboy, New Jersey. I read this last night and I didn't get that one. I didn't even hear that. A big chunk of South Amboy, New Jersey, waterfront, a window shade maker, and fintech companies that lend money at high interest rates. Many of those holdings are controlled by shell companies. Y'all know what those are, right? Shady boots. All right, in 2018, the Wolf of Meeting Street, debt collector Ben Navarro, all right, made an unsuccessful bid for the Carolina Panthers football team, which sold for $2.275 billion. All right, let's pivot right there real quick, right? So we talked about the whitewashing of his career. Then we want to get to that whole ESPN piece. I don't know if y'all can read this. Ooh. All right, so here this was a story from ESPN back in the day, when around the time of this failed attempt to own the Panthers. It says Navarro could be a solid candidate from a financial standpoint, but he is not ideal from a sector standpoint. Sherman Financial Group is and its affiliated companies buy delinquent consumer debt mostly from credit card bills, in hopes of collecting what is owed and taking a cut. While it's a tremendous business that Navarro has built to more than $2 billion with a B dollars in annual revenue, sources tell ESPN that the litigious nature of the debt collection agent, basically they saying, yo, you a billionaire and we you know, all our owners is billionaires, but you a different kind of billionaire. You a scuzzy billionaire. You kind of do like you like a bottom feeder billionaire. I know Jerry make his money all kinds of ways too. I know Robert Kraft, you know what I mean, you know, Mr. Massage Parlor Robert Kraft. I know they do stuff, but you's a bottom feeder. You's a bottom feeder. And don't get it twisted. These owners, the current owners, like a Jerry Jones, like a Robert Kraft, fill in the blank, right? Like the Maras up in Jersey with the Giants, like the Johnsons, they pick and choose who gets to play in their little playpen, right? So all, you know, I think they be shitting on like new money. I think they be shitting on like all kinds of different types of billionaire, right? Making billions off people's misery. Exactly. So not even the fucking NFL, as scuzzy as the NFL is, as problematic as the NFL is, not even them want to fuck with them because of, you know, you get your money through, you know what I mean? Yeah, it's just corny, right? All right, let me keep going real quick because I want to get to that personal account of the person who was directly impacted by what he did. All right. Right. And he's very low key. Oh, this is worth reading. Mr. Navarro, who declined comment for this article, rarely speaks publicly about the collections business. He will not speak about that. He'll speak about that school. He'll go in there, talk attacking public schools on the TEDx stage, but you cannot get this man to show up and really talk about the debt collection shit. All right. So he says here, I spent a career trying to be low key and trying to have our company be as low key as possible because he knows it's disgusting, it's deplorable. He knows that's why he didn't put Sherman Financial on the bus. He put Credit One Bank on the bus. You feel me? On the Meeting Street Academy school bus, right? Spent a career trying to be low key and have his company be as low key as possible. He told a group of students 3 years ago at his alma mater, the University of Rhode Island, right? According to a video recorded by one of the attendees, right? All right. So when consumers stop paying off their cards, the banks that issue them usually send letters and make phone calls attempting to collect. They often give up after 180 days, right? That's what I know. They often give up after 180 days, booking it as bad debt or as a loss, right? Then they sell it, often for just a few cents on the dollar. We just heard that in the video, right? Right? Unlike with mortgages or car loans, there often is no collateral to seize with a credit card loan. Collectors call and send letters hoping that borrowers agree to pay to a portion of debt, like make a little settlement, right? Right? I wanted to get to this one lady. Let me see. I think this is it right here, Miss McGregor. Yeah, here we go. This is really important, y'all. Among the people that Ben Navarro's Sherman Financial sued during the pandemic was Shalinda McGregor, 30 years old, who owes $1,372.51 in credit card debt. All right. She said she has been unable to pay the debt since she quit nursing school and moved to rural New York to care for her father after he had a heart attack. Right. For the past few years, she worked at an apple processing plant 6 nights a week. You know, when I read this initially, I thought, oh, she worked for Apple. And then I'm like, no, Mika, look at the hyphen. She worked for an apple processing plant. And I'm like, damn. She works for an apple processing plant 6 nights a week. In the summer, when the plant slows, she collects unemployment. She said she defaulted because she could never make enough money to pay off her debts. Sherman sues. Look at this. Sherman sues only a small percentage of customers who don't resolve their debts during the collection efforts, the spokesman said, and offers payment plans and partial debt forgiveness. That's their bullshit trying to cover up. Ms. McGregor said she got a letter seeking repayment for years before she was sued, which she ignored, assuming that they were from scammers, right? Because it was old, over 180 days. But here comes Sherman Financial. All right, here comes Ben Navarro in Sherman Financial. She hasn't responded to Sherman's lawsuit and said she has been out of work since catching COVID in January and intends to file for bankruptcy because of the credit card debt. That's crazy, right? That's crazy. I want to get to the part where they actually took money out of people's bank accounts. Like we already read it earlier in this article that Sherman Financial engaged in a practice where, legally debt collectors of this type of debt can take your money, can take your stimulus check, and can take money literally out of your bank account in some instances. I wanted to just see. Let me see. Let me hit find real quick. And we're going to get to more of the account. That was early. Let me see the cases we're freaking about. Yeah, so so signature loans, everything to know. A number of debt collection lawsuits. We're gonna get back to the meat and potatoes of this in a second. The number of debt collection lawsuits filed across the country doubled between 1993 and 2013, according to the Pew Charitable Trusts. And debt claims are now most common type of civil case in 9 of 12 states examined by Pew. The cases frequently ended in default judgments, letting debt collectors garnish wages or bank accounts to satisfy debt plus fees. Right. Among the people, and this is what led into the Shalinda McGregor story. Right. So they're actually taking money out of accounts, and like I said, they had to enter a settlement where they paid about $1 million because they were taking money from people that was no longer collectible, right? And here it is right here. In some cases, Sherman admitted to suing the wrong people. Imagine that. Other times it attempted to collect debt so old that they were no longer legally collectible, the court records show. Wealth by any means, right? Right? So they admitted to it. Let me get to the point when they actually said they admitted to it. Okay. In 2005, Ben Navarro Sherman Financial bought a small bank, rebranded it as Credit One. We saw that right here. And I know I'm going through this fast, y'all. I know. I'm just trying to stay focused real quick. So we saw it right here on the school branding, right? Right. Let's go back to the article. Right. In 2005, Ben Navarro Sherman Financial bought a small bank and rebranded it as Credit One and increased the business from $647 million with an M in outstanding credit. An outstanding credit card. Hold on. Here we go. 2005. Hold on. Here we go. Close out this right here. Close it out.
Millions of vulnerable Americans struggle to get reliable transportation to their medical appointments. That's why I started MedHall and grew it with investment from...
Okay. Whatever. All right. We're going to hop back into some other stuff. Hold on one second to kind of help you illustrate what's going on. Damn, they want me to play this so bad. All right. So $647 million in outstanding credit card receivables in 2006 to $6.81 billion with a B. So it went from $647 million with an M in 2005 to in 2006 went up to $6.81 billion with a B in 2020, excuse me. Right. The most recent reported figure. That's the most recent reported figure, right? Because they private and they hide a lot of shit, right? Credit One. This is important. This is really important. This is Ben Navarro right here. Not a billionaire philanthropist. This is who he is. Credit One receives the most complaints. Let me read that again. Credit One receives the most complaints of any firm with less than $10 billion in assets, supervised by the Office of the Comptroller of the Currency, a federal bank regulator, and the ninth most complaints, y'all. The ninth most complaints about financial products of the largest credit card issuers ranked by outstanding loans. They get the most complaints, right? And a firm of this size is doing a lot of damage, and they're getting the most complaints because they're very aggressive. They're very, very aggressive, right? All right. So since the Wolf of Meeting Street, Ben Navarro took full control of the company, there's been little public publicly available information about Sherman Financial's activities. Court records, some of the only public documents, show that Sherman filed thousands of lawsuits against borrowers, leading to some problems with the authorities. And this is where I'm going to leave this article. This is where I'm going to leave the article on Ben Navarro. All right, in 2011, Maryland sued Sherman Financial. The state of Maryland sued Ben Navarro's Sherman Financial primary debt collection subsidiary, alleging they flooded courts with cases, but were unlicensed to collect there. So they were up in Maryland trying to collect debt. Sherman suits contain false or deceptive or deficient complaints supporting affidavits, the state regulators wrote in Maryland. It's like, y'all doing shady shit over here. Y'all bothering our residents, trying to collect old ass debt. All right. And in a 2012 settlement, here we go. In a 2012 settlement, without admitting any wrongdoing, Sherman paid a $1 million penalty and gave credits worth $3.8 million to Maryland consumers. I repeat, in a 2012 settlement, without admitting any wrongdoing, Ben Navarro's Sherman Financial paid a $1 million penalty and gave credits worth about $3.8 million to Maryland consumers. And that's why I'm gonna leave this article. That's why I'm gonna leave it there. This is who we talking about. So just to get some more analysis on billionaires, why they exist, all of that, I wanted to play this. And I think this is only 3 minutes long. We're gonna let it rock. We're gonna let Robert.
Approximately 660 billionaires in the United States increased their wealth in the pandemic, just during the pandemic, by about $1.8 trillion. In other words, the entire stimulus bill was $1.9 trillion. So they could afford to have paid for the entire stimulus and be no worse off than they were.
This was published August of 2021, so just not too long, a couple months ago.
Pandemic started. The very rich in this country have used philanthropy as a public relations device to take away attention from the fact that they are basically cleaning up. Inequality increased dramatically during the pandemic, and the little bits that billionaires and the very rich gave out in philanthropy was just a tiny sliver of the amount their fortunes grew during the pandemic. Jeff Bezos, for example, provided during the pandemic $100 million to food banks, and everybody applauded. Isn't that wonderful of Jeff Bezos? Well, yes, that was good, but $100 million, that's 11 days worth of Jeff Bezos's income off of his assets. 11 days, folks. Over the last 5 years, the Gates Foundation earned from its investments $28.5 billion. How much of that did the Gates Foundation actually pay out in charities, charitable contributions? $23.5 billion. Doesn't that seem a little bit odd? But worse, it is actually ironically paid for by the rest of us, because you see, there's something called a charitable deduction. A charitable deduction, or the charitable deduction, allows the wealthy to reduce their taxable incomes by the amount that they give in charity. That comes to about $44 billion a year. In a way, the rest of us are saying, here, take this $44 billion and you decide how you want to distribute this. If you want to give it to concert halls and operas that you frequent.
And that's what they do. Museums, operas, that's what the Sacklers do. You see the Sacklers name at the top, right? The biggest dope dealers in the country. That's what they do. And so let's bring it back to local perspective. So the creation of a school, even though there's a financial motive, there's a profit motive associated with Ben Navarro starting a for-profit school, trying to pass it off as some sort of really innovative alternative. And that it literally, like, I don't want to say money laundering, because he's actually making money off of it. But what he's doing too, being that is schools, which is unoffensive, on its face, it sounds like, wow, you're a billionaire. You could be jet setting. You could be in yachts in Europe and all that, but you choosing to help the poor little blacks down here in the Title I schools. Oh, Mr. Navarro, we really thank you for. That's the bullshit he's trying to, like, that helps with his image as well. So just like if Navarro, like with Navarro, just like Navarro throwing his name on a bunch of stuff, it's to give you the impression, like the stuff that you like. If you like going to the Whitney, you like going to the Schomburg, and you see the name, not saying that his name will ever be associated with the Schomburg, but you see his name on a certain wing or whatnot, you get the idea that this is a good person. This is a benevolent philanthropist. And it's not the case when you look at his business dealing and how he made his money, specifically how he made his money, right? How he made his money. Him out of, like, I can't compare him and Anita because it's totally different, because Anita Zucker allegedly do some shady boot shit with the lobbying and the other bullshit and the creating of all these nonprofits and shit that just surveil black people and poor people for generations. But the way he get down, at least Anita got the whole thing, old tech, intertech, stingrays and all that other shit. This dude is a debt collector. He just predatory as hell. But anyway, I just wanted to stop it here and say that. Let me see. I wanted to.
So you can have your name etched in the marble. Go ahead, do that. We'll give you that $44 billion. You decide. Instead of we, the people of the United States, deciding how our tax money is going to be used. Another thing that's troubling is conflicts of interest. I mean, the Gates Foundation provided $250 million to companies in which the Gates Foundation actually holds stocks and bonds. If that's not a conflict of interest, I don't know what is, because remember, all of these contributions are subsidized by American taxpayers.
So being that they're using the video behind him is actually one that I wanted to play. Being that, it's what's that dude? He ruins everything. Adam ruins everything. A lot of people I know love this, and I haven't really watched it a lot, but I watched this one. So yes, I wish I was just effective, because I feel like I be ruining everything too. But this, these are very widely popular, over 1 million views. Apparently I don't have the ruination skills that Adam has. I wonder why. What you say, Nicole had an argument with a libertarian the other day about why should they give the government their money if they can't trust the government to spend it wisely. Look, government is supposed to, libertarians always vex me, because Rowdy Balco, who wrote these dope books on police, whatever, on warrior cops and whatnot, is very, very, I'm enjoying the books. I'm enjoying how he's writing, how he's approaching it. He's a libertarian. But libertarians just, we should be forcing government to do what it's supposed to do. It's supposed to take better care of us. It's supposed to take care of our roads. We're supposed to have safety nets to help us get on our feet. We shouldn't be attacking it. And I don't know, libertarians, and they kind of, I don't know. What I want to do here is kind of swing it back to school choice. I know it's getting to that hour where people going to work and whatnot, but I want to swing it back to Ben Navarro and connect him to school privatization, right? So the book whose jacket I just removed earlier, of course, A Wolf at the Schoolhouse Door, edupreneurs is really empowered me with the language. It's given me now the word power to articulate what the root of the issue is, at least halfway through the book. But let's pivot back and let's actually listen to the authors of this book talk about school privatization, because I know I spent a lot of time on how Ben Navarro got his money, the ill-gotten means by which he built his wealth. I know we spend a lot of time there. I think that's important, because we don't talk enough about him as a debt collector. But we have to understand Meeting Street Schools. We have to understand what that's about. Like, what is he trying to accomplish? And you really don't understand it until you lean on scholarships similar to what you're about to hear from the authors of A Wolf at the Schoolhouse Door. I think around 2-minute mark is when they start talking.
As an educator at the middle and high school levels, including as a principal.
The intros don't matter. And she sounds underwater. But here you got Jennifer, and you got Jack. Is Jack Schneider? Yeah, Jack Schneider and Jennifer Berkshire.
Take it to our panel now.
Hi, everybody. And Jennifer and Jack, thank you so much for coming on today and talking about your book. I just finished it this morning, and I have to tell everybody it is fabulous.
It's great.
Go into the chat, get that link, and get that book. You will not be sorry.
Really good.
So my first question that comes from reading your book is that in the 1980s, vouchers were really roundly rejected by the public. Yet there now appears to be a growing movement toward vouchers and neo-vouchers that you talk about in the book.
Neo-vouchers.
Most of it is happening on the right, but we even see popularity of voucher programs among EdPost bloggers and 50 Can. Why is that happening today?
Jennifer, I'll get it started and you tell me what I miss. So one of the things that Jennifer and I have talked about both on our podcast and in pieces that we've written, we wrote a piece in the New York Times recently where we made this argument. For the past couple of decades, there has been a working consensus in Washington, but also as well as at the state level in a number of states, a kind of treaty between conservatives and neoliberals. In this treaty, the left gave up historic support for teachers and their unions, gave up a push for racially integrated schools, and gave up the push for equitable and adequate funding for schools. The right gave up the push for religion in schools, as well as its voucher efforts. So Reagan was the last Republican to push for vouchers.
So, and the book does this, again, I'm only halfway through the book, about halfway through. And the book talks about how both sides are complicit. So I just talked about how growing up in Tinton Falls, New Jersey, I feel like my school systems were great. I don't know if someone digs up the research and tells me what the performance looked like. I know how I benefited. I know how my older brothers and sisters navigated that school system. And, you know, we all made it. No one got left back. We all excelled in some way, shape, or form. We got through. I'm bringing that up because I also understand that I lived in New Jersey. So New Jersey enjoys one of the most, I guess, is New Jersey, is Illinois. I name another state that has really, really, really strong teachers unions. And Jersey, Illinois are up there. And so I also benefited from that tradition of organized labor within the education system. Right. And so I believe strong labor unions gave me, helped contribute to my favorable learning experience in school. I didn't hate going to school till I got to Charleston. I never even thought about skipping school or anything like that till I got to Charleston. I skipped school a lot. I don't even know how I graduated some days. I skipped school a lot. It was such a drop off in quality education. The school itself was so in disrepair. The way that the students and student athlete population acted, it was really weird. It was really weird for me, and it was unnerving. And I'm sorry I brought that up because they talk about how the left compromised. Like, they basically were like, nah, fuck it, we're not going to support teachers union anymore. There's kind of some sort of treaty between the left and the right. And this is how I love how Democrats really do play to lose. They play to lose all the time. They participate in their own demise. And now I'm at the point where I'm thinking that that's the point. That's the point. It's just to keep coming up with excuses why they can't really stand up against the right, and just keep coming up with excuses to just get further and further to the center and further and further closer to the right. Because I don't understand why you would lose your grip on unions. How you can politically think that was advantageous, because it's coming back to bite them in the ass right now. But the Democrats are just as complicit in a number of instances as the right.
For several decades, until DeVos, under Trump, obviously. And in this consensus, right, the agreement was that schools should be run like a business. This was something that neoliberals and conservatives could agree on. They focused on performance management, and that's testing and accountability. And they focused on elements of the public sector operating like a free market. And we see that in charters, right? Charters are public schools, but they are run in the style of private schools which operate in the free market. So this was what we had in the 90s and the 2000s as education policy, at least at the federal level, until DeVos came along and broke that consensus. And what we can see is that when she broke that treaty, it revealed that for conservatives, for ideological conservatives like DeVos, the treaty was never the end game.
No.
It was always a means to an end. The left really wasn't working towards a long-term aim. I shouldn't say the left. I should say centrist Democrats or neoliberals.
Yes.
Whereas the right was really working towards chipping away towards.
Right. So we entered into, let's say we, and for the sake of this conversation, Democrats entered into this treaty, right? This ceasefire or whatever, like this compromise, because, they gave up the whole teachers union, whatever. And then the right gave up, pushing religion in schools, right? And then DeVos came here to do what she was supposed to do, be a wrecking ball, right? And then, right. So, and then, let me just let him finish because I'm
this long-term aim of private.
This is what I was gonna say. So we compromise. We trusted. We didn't have another aspect to our strategy, and so we entered into this treaty, not being politically savvy enough to understand that their end game wasn't no fucking ceasefire, wasn't no compromise. Their end game was to destroy public school systems. Right. And that's where we're at. The centrist Democrats, the moderates that were part of this big issue. But DeVos came in here and was like, oh, okay. Was like the smelling salts, but still they ain't get their shit together.
Privatizing schools. And clearly DeVos revealed that through her support for vouchers. And even though she didn't win on that, we've seen the real normalization of choice and private values across the past couple decades that she took to an even further extreme.
She went crazy.
Her tenure as secretary.
She's another horrible speaker.
I would just add to that we saw the the worst of the crumbling of the treaty during the DeVos era, in that all of a sudden vouchers are back, right? Like all of a sudden she opened the door for religious charter schools. But a lot of the things that were sort of off the table were things that people really care about and should care about, right? So you now hear all these calls to finally make funding more equitable coming up. In our home state of Massachusetts, for example, we have this, we have a grand bargain here. Everybody got together and they agreed, schools would get some more money, but we'd have accountability, we'd have charters, teachers unions would be reined in. Well, now that that's starting to crumble, all of a sudden Democrats for Education Reform is talking about desegregation. Are they sincere? I don't know, but I think it's a really interesting development.
Yeah, they learn, but we'll see if they get their act together. But it was interesting and important to share that, y'all, because when you talk about the wolf of Meeting Street, when you talk about Ben Navarro, you got to talk about his efforts to try to privatize public schools. You got to talk about Coalition for Kids. You got to talk about the money that he poured into the last school board race and how he'll continue to do this, right? This is something that he'll continue to do. We have a dark money problem here, and I think it's important to view. Look, I don't think billionaires should exist, right? I don't feel like that's a controversial stance. I think that they just hoard wealth and they contribute to the inequity, the inequality in this country. I definitely don't think a billionaire who made his billions off of exploiting, people who are in debt, people in debt during the pandemic. I especially look at him after I did my research this weekend. And yes, we looked at the greatest hits. I took y'all through some of the greatest hits, but just looking at who this man is, you can't look at him or Anita in these warm and fuzzy faces and these warm and fuzzy ways anymore. You just can't afford to do it. They're not benign. There's no such thing as a benign billionaire, right? And this is, again, another graphic that I used during the election cycle, right? It shows you it does a great job illustrating, Josh Bell in his role now that he's with Meeting Street Academy. I'm sure the other dude that y'all name checked in the chat, I'm sure he'll pick up the mantle there, right? It's just this huge corporate influence, right? Huge corporate influence. This is another screenshot of what's this, Foundation Profiles. general charitable purpose. Was that $2 million? Meeting Street Academy. I don't know if that's a donation. Ben Navarro also, like with Anita Zucker, like a lot of people thought perhaps, you know, we talked about how some folks might have assumed that Anita Zucker was left leaning, and she's very much not. She's very much a right wing power broker, as is Ben Navarro. This is an old political contribution from 2006 from Ben Navarro, Mr. Ben Navarro, Sherman Financial. $25,000 donation to the RNC, the Republican National Committee. So that's also something you need to factor in, like with the CVB. Like, you know, you like with the CVB, understanding there's real substantial political heft, real political weight here. This is not just, you know, somebody who's out here trying to make money, you know, and be quiet about it. Nah. Right. Also, too, I want y'all to understand, let me see, outside of the slides, outside of the Wall Street Journal piece about how aggressive he was at collecting debt, I think I had bookmarked it. I wanted to, before I dip, I wanted to talk about, I didn't even get into the Charleston Place purchase. I don't have it here. I wanted to get to, let me see what this is. No. Was it the sports stuff? I don't know if it was the sports stuff. I just wanted to dismount real quick before I dip. I'm trying to think, was it? Learn how he made his millions of debt. Talked about influencer strategy before. Oh, yeah. And like, okay, this is just a little dismount. His daughter is, let's just look at his Wikipedia real quick. We didn't even get to the Post and Courier. We didn't get to none of that. It's literally him and both Anita, like, it takes hours to unpack all of the stuff that they are like leading. Ben Navarro. Let's just do this. See Wikipedia. Here we go. And just like Anita Zucker, they have like an indeterminate date, a year of birth. That's weird. Anita had the same thing, 62 or 63. Which one was it? Is that hard to really substantiate what year he was born? Is that on purpose? So this has been Navarro's Wikipedia page. Born maybe 1962, maybe 1963. I don't know what that is. An American billionaire businessman, founder and chief executive officer of Sherman Financial Group, which owns Credit One Bank, right? So I'm not getting into all that. But down his, here it is. All four of his children are involved in tennis. Emma is the number 2 ranked U.S. junior. And then Emma has a younger sister named Maggie, who's also highly ranked in tennis. And kids are off limits. Like, I'm not going at the kids and all that, but we will talk about how daddy bought a tennis tournament for his kids.
We're gonna go to the fan.
Look at this shit. Look at this. B-roll matters, y'all. So I think this is the tennis channel. So y'all know McLeod Plantation runs up against the golf course over there on James Island, right? Y'all know that. But look at this bullshit. B-roll. This is McLeod Plantation. These are the slave quarters. Look at this. I see you. Look at the slave quarters on the left. This is like, yeah. I know it's a lag. Yeah, D, you on it? You all on it? Come on. But this is the old. Let me see what year this was. This was April this year. This was the Tennis Channel Live with Ben Navarro, because he's out here telling you, yeah, I just bought the Volvo. I just bought the Volvo tournament.
We're going to go to the FanDuel desk all the way in Charleston with Steve Weissman.
People think those are just like white little shacks or something. Like, people don't understand what slave quarters, like, you were literally on the plantation. That's the B-roll y'all want?
All right, thank you so much, Noah. And I've got a special guest and also the tournament mascot with me.
Look at this.
We've got Ben Navarro, the owner of the event.
Be wary of people who bring their dogs in to soften their image. Like, please, for real. You know how some scuzzy dudes do that to pick up girls? This is also a ploy. Is he wearing a Confederate? No, what is that on his hat? Is that why does
event? Major Tom right there. Ground control to Major Tom, Ben Navarro, owner of the event, also the owner of the LTP Daniel Island Tennis Center.
I wonder what those conversations was like. Yeah, I need screen time. I need screen time. Tennis Channel. Yeah, I need to be on here. You usually don't see the owners of the tournament. I don't, as much sports as I've watched, I don't really remember seeing the owners of the tournament like prominently placed on. I don't know. Maybe you do. Maybe with the Masters, with the Masters, maybe you'll see the CEO come out, but that's because of the ceremonies and stuff, like the jacket and shit, the green jacket shit. That's interesting.
Great to have you with us. How's it going?
Great to be here, Steve. Great. Thank you.
Well, listen, we're over the Althea Gibson Club Court, which has been fantastic this year. It's a beautiful setting, but the reason
I did not know they named it after Althea Gibson. Look at them they doing a little Charleston wine and food right there with the PR. Let's put all the black stuff up front. Althea Gibson. It keeps going out.
We're not on the big stadium is because it's under a massive renovation. What can you tell us about the new stadium next year and when we're going to come back and see it?
Well, lots of exciting things going on there. But before I tell you that, can I tell you a quick Major Tom story? Before
Obviously.
All right.
Oh, okay.
So I've been walking around the grounds this week, and most of the girls have absolutely no idea who I am, nor should they, and don't really care. But they all have an independent relationship with Major Tom. So they make a beeline over to me, don't even give me a second look, pet him and talk to him, and then
that sounds weird.
So that's been quite nice.
Who's Major Tom's favorite?
I'd have to say Emma Navarro.
Yeah,
I don't know if you've heard of her, but yeah, I'd have to say Emma.
Got her first WTA victory this week.
Yes, she did. Yes, she did. So anyway, the stadium is something that we're incredibly excited about. We're actually having a groundbreaking tomorrow with the governor, the mayor, and our U.S. Senator Tim Scott are coming for it. And it's going to be. We had set a $40 million renovation. It's turned into a $50 million renovation.
You got it.
I think there's some pictures of it there, so you'll have to.
You made a lot during the pandemic. You got it.
The price tag keeps going up as
another
we add
10 mil.
things. Exactly. But it's been a partnership with the city and something that we're thrilled to be able to offer Charleston. The way I look at it is this is a world-class city, and it deserves a
Mount
world-class
Pleasant.
venue like this.
It's on Daniel Island.
The reason we're doing it first and foremost is for the tennis, but we're going to have concerts and festivals and other stuff as well, and it'll be anything that a player.
So what I wanted to do, and I ran out of time, literally was like sitting here up until like that's why I took like 3 minutes extra to get on live this morning, because I'm literally going through that book. I really want to. I'm probably going to follow up tomorrow with just like a little extra bonus content about why billionaires invest in sports team ownership. It ain't because they love fucking tennis. I think it helps that they have some sort of relationship. Like his daughters are pretty successful tennis players, but there is some other interest there. Why was he trying to buy the Panthers? Right? I don't think he has a son, who's an NFL prospect. I don't think so. Not yet, at least. But why was he interested in buying the Panthers? Why is he interested? Why did he want to buy this tournament? Why is Jeff Bezos rumored to be interested in the Washington football team? These are just some interesting questions that I have. So I'll probably follow up tomorrow. I wanted to mention Joy's comment. One of the last comment. I know we segued kind of awkwardly from school choice to this last little bit, but just trying to cram everything in there. El Kuje, right? But Joy, you said more school choice equals more segregation in 2021. CCSD schools are segregated because of all of the school choice options, and that's not by mistake. It's intentional. Exactly. It's not a bug. It's the feature. I wanted to scroll up a little bit. When y'all were writing like really thick comments, and I don't mean to use the word thick, but y'all were writing some really interesting things up top. And I wanted to kind of revisit that, even if it doesn't make any sense. Joy, you wrote earlier in the chat, Mika touches on it all the time. It's not really about the schools and education. The hand that rocks the cradle is the hand that rules the world, right? Exactly. I don't know. I laughed because of the movie. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to laugh at the comment. They are using education to gentrify neighborhoods and to get these kids at the beginning. Absolutely. Joy, you went on to say, I'm going to all the more lengthier comments. Joy, you went on to say meeting street schools have not shown improvement for these students. That's what the book covers too. It's a myth to think that charter equals better or private equals better. When you look at the standards, and they're held to different standards, but they're not doing better. Meeting street schools have not shown improvement for these students. The education disparity between white students and black students is staggering in CCSD. I definitely understand that. D, earlier you said that's because having the lowest of the low education is a badge of honor for South Carolina. Keeps the leaders in perpetual state of victimhood. Exactly, and they can raise money. Exactly, D. Joni, you offered up a response to, I think, Brianne's comment earlier. You said, Brianne, there's a charter school in the Midlands where 99% of the kids participate in athletics. You're talking about the exploitation of some of these kids' athletic prowess at these schools, at these either public-private hybrids or similar schools. Yeah, 99% of the students participate in athletics. That's staggering. The school didn't exist 5 years ago, and they have already been in a championship game for football and basketball. Crazy. Kia, you said something earlier in NYC. You had a veteran teacher explain to you that Harlem success, that KIPP school, KIPPs and the KIPPs of the world rather, is like coming into a lower income community and waving a bright, shiny new car, which is the charter school, right? The parents get bamboozled because they simply want the best for their kids. Exactly. And that's the thing. They're preying upon parents' genuine, sincere desire to just have their kids exposed to a quality education. El J, you said earlier, so going back to Dee's comment, instead of reinventing the wheel, concentrate on state legislation and strengthen the schools which are underachieving. Let me tell you something. So that's exactly what I'm learning from the book, A Wolf at the Schoolhouse Door, is like, so they know that a lot of these efforts don't do well at the polls. They know this. Like, people don't vote for school vouchers. They don't vote against public schools. Public schools are we're still hanging on to some majority popular, they're popular among the voting public, right? And what the right has been skillful at is attacking the court, like launching this attack in the court systems, and it's through policy and legislation and loopholes that they're able to come in and forced through. Like, that's why Florida has all these for-profit schools, and Betsy DeVos's home state of Michigan has all these similar schools that are really breaking the mold and challenging a lot of systems, and it's through the legislative process that they're getting through. It's not through the ballot box, and that's and then when it is a ballot issue like school board elections, they even buy those candidates as well, as seen with Coalition for Kids with Josh Bell, Ben Navarro, Anita Zucker, and so on and so forth, right? All right, so thank you, El J, you said that, like, concentrate on legislation and, capital and, strengthen the schools which are underachieving, in quotation marks, right? Underperforming, exactly. Schools which do not get the resources because of school choice. Right. Michelle Brand, I don't know if Michelle's still with us, but Michelle earlier says, how can we improve schools? What makes a school great? How can schools thrive if the racism is present? Very, very good questions. I have no answers, or rather the answers that will help are very long. But hopefully starting to discuss it here and creating more spaces where we can discuss it will be helpful. All right, I'm gonna scroll down. I really appreciate y'all's participation today. Even if I didn't get to read your comment, I really think that this is important, and I'm really happy that y'all are chiming in. I don't have kids, so sometimes I do feel awkward talking about this. I feel like I want to just go ahead and pop one out. Let me stop. But nah, I don't have kids, and so sometimes some of this stuff does just go by me because I don't have a vested interest in terms of I don't work in an arena where I service kids or I deal with kids. I used to do that more with volunteer work in Philly and stuff like that, and through church and stuff, but I just don't anymore. And so some of this stuff goes right over my head, and that's how I got caught up in Coalition for Kids. Was what I should have done is do my due diligence, but I should have asked some trusted parents that I know who are really politically savvy, or really at least kind of up to date and current and in touch with the issues. I should have done my mom would have even been a better choice, because she, through church, knew some things, right? So I got one of your triplets. I gave you triplets, quadruples. Yes. Can I just tell y'all before I dip? Like, one of my dreams growing up was to adopt a bunch of kids. Not even on the maternal shit neither. I just wanted, like, I think kids are fun. I love difficult children. I love, like, the people that people say are bad kids, even the ones that you can't sleep, ones that you gotta sleep with one eye open with. Like, like if you got like a bad nephew or cousin or something like that, you're like, oh man, you gotta watch this little one. I love difficult kids or those who are deemed difficult. It just, to me, I do like kids, and I always wanted to just be around a lot of kids, like either like do my job or something like that. They keep you on your feet. But then again, then I'd be like, nah, not really. Then I'm like, give them back. That's why I'm a panky, professional aunt, no kids yet. Right? Okay. So I'm gonna leave it there. I really do hope that this was informative. I want to keep talking. You might think, oh, is she gonna do Linda Kettner tomorrow? Absolutely, I'm not. Nope. And I'm gonna admit that I have a Linda Kettner bias, cause I just do. But I'm gonna work through it and do my due diligence, and we will do a Linda Kettner something. But I'm a fan. I know I'm not a fan of the wealth. Calm down, all my anti-capitalist comrades. Calm down, right? Just talking about her as a person. Okay, talking about her as a person. That's it. Someone who's kind of at least offers something markedly different from the Navarros and the Tuckers, but maybe I'm wrong. Yeah, I learned a lot too. Shout out to my secret squirrel. Shout out to y'all for rocking with me. This is sometimes dense. And this is what I did want to do. Please make sure. So my newsletter, I definitely want to start doing this more. Do me a favor, y'all. Do I ask for favors? Real quick before y'all dip. Do I ask y'all for too much? If I ask y'all for too much, please let me know. Please let me know if I ever ask y'all for too much. I just want y'all to do me a favor. If you're watching this live, you're watching it later, right? I got a new Patreon. Oh, that's dope. Thank you. That made my heart feel good. Do me a favor. I'm trying to find my email to myself. The newsletter. Oh, I didn't even play the other. Tomorrow we'll do it. We'll do it tomorrow. Hold on, I'm trying to find right here. So this is the newsletter that went out this morning. Make sure you support the podcast. Please make sure you support the podcast. Mic'd Up is not the same. I don't just take shows. I don't take live stream topics always and talk about them there. Sometimes I try to either extend the conversation with a subject matter expert or something else. I bring something different to it. But we did continue the conversation about green infrastructure with my girl homie Taylor Shanker. She is a fellow friend of Gadsden Creek organizer. So please make sure you click on it, share. I linked it to Spotify here, but you can get it on Apple Podcasts. Yes, it's the old Charleston Activist Network. Thank y'all in the chat. It's the old Charleston Activist Network logo. Apple Podcast did some kind of reset a few months ago, and I can't change for some reason. I'm trying to update the image, and it just won't let me update the image. I'll try again maybe in a week or so. But if you enjoy it on Spotify or other places, you'll probably see this thumbnail here. So please consider. I invite you to listen to the podcast. I'm getting there, y'all. I'm getting there. The rest is coming off, and I think my vision for the audio podcast is coming together. But I think Taylor had some really interesting thoughts about green infrastructure there. That's the favor I asked. That's my favorite. Just please, pretty please. All right. So I appreciate y'all for rocking with me. See you tomorrow. I'm gonna do a little jazz improvisation. Well, I look cute today. I look cute. Do a little jazz improvisation for tomorrow's live stream. So I figured out. I have some things lined up that I wanted to talk about, but we'll take a look at the news. D, if you're still watching, real quick. D, you can't be dropping bombs in the chat. The only reason why I didn't acknowledge it is because it was going to distract me. That's the only reason. So D dropped a bomb in the chat, and so I don't know if that's going to be part of the topic tomorrow. We look like we lost Colin Powell to COVID. I'm tired of this damn pandemic. No. Don't apologize like that. Don't apologize, but don't apologize like you did something like that. Harm me. I don't want you to think you harmed me, but that was a bomb. It was a bomb, but it's sad to hear that if that happened. Hold on, I keep saying I'm about to leave. I'm hungry. I was gonna eat some grapefruit, but I heard myself smacking last time. I ain't like it. But let's go. Let's see if there's any news. That's crazy. I didn't know he was sick. I'm about to dip. This is sad. I know this. I'm sorry, y'all. This is really sad though, and a horrible way to end. But I just wanted to I want to learn more.
This is a special report. Here's Savannah Guthrie and Hoda Kotb.
And good morning, everybody. We come on the air with some sad news. Colin Powell, the former Secretary of State and Chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, has died from complications from COVID-19. We want to get right to NBC's Chief Washington correspondent, Andrea Mitchell, who has the story. Andrea, what more can you tell us?
Colin Powell has been suffering for several years from multiple myeloma. That, as you know, is a disease, a cancer of the blood and bone. It is a very serious cancer. He was at Walter Reed. I've spoken with Peggy Sofrino, his longtime spokesperson, assistant, longtime colleague, and to her also.
I know, serious topic, but Nicole, please.
To a family member. He had been suffering from this for quite some time, as I had known and as those close to him had known. As you know, he was first in the administration of Ronald Reagan. I first met him when he was Deputy National Security Advisor. He, of course, rose to become Chairman of the Joint Chiefs, had worked under so many presidents and, of course, traveled with him extensively when he was Secretary of State. He has been a long-standing spokesperson, as you know, as well for minority rights and for the African American community. He has.
Yeah, I'm gonna pause it there. It's super sad loss. I think regardless of his politics and all that, I think that he was a person. The impression I got of Colin Powell is a person of integrity, a man of integrity, a principled man. Really unoffensive, again, outside of perhaps being conservative, which ain't a crime. Yeah, it's sad. It's sad, especially when you think about what he's achieved as a black man in this country. It's important to lift that up. But yeah, that's pretty sad. It's pretty sad news, and it just shows you. I know he was ill, and a lot of the whole. Ooh. All right. Gotta go. Fire alarm going off. Don't worry. I'm sure I'm fine. I hope. See y'all tomorrow. Bye.